Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must grow. Discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I tell that is the main foundation. So, let us focus because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, let us build a nation together.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends, blessed good afternoon, blessed good afternoon. Once again, you know it's your boy Urban, and we're back with another episode of Real Talk. Yes, you're at 648 Television, and I want to say blessed good afternoon to you and your family, wherever you may be. I needed to call somebody who knows somebody. Today, we had a talk. Today is about information.
Remember, the key to success is working hard.
Well, today, we had to get down because those of us who minding with business and paying attention, you see that the United States of America is in the Caribbean, and based on the conversation is Mr. Maduro and his government. So Iris, blessed good afternoon. Mohammed, blessed good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, as you come up, I continue to wish you a blessed good afternoon, you and your family. You know the conversation, you know what we're dealing with in Trinidad and Tobago, right? So while some continue to play political games, we have a responsibility to stay focused. On top of that, we continue to thank God for having us in the land of the living. We thank God for Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sending out some love to my Hindu population, my Muslim population, Christian population, every single Baptist, Jehovah's Witness, Rastafari, Ethiopian Orthodox. Blessed good afternoon. Brothers and sisters, Mr. Daniel, blessed good day, blessed good day. As you come up, I want to wish you a blessed afternoon. But earlier, we had a talk and I have some information that I believe brothers and sisters in this country is seriously unaware of. This is why the other group continue to ask foolish questions, because they realize people don't have relevant information. So today I'm going to be bringing you some information that I honestly believe that you are unaware of. On top of that is some very important information, because people are asking the question why the United States of America sent down the military and they didn't send the Coast Guard. Well, I think I will be able to answer that for you in my own personal way. Nobody didn't call me and tell me nothing, but based on following the information, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't wait until we end up in the situation. Remember, I've been minding my business. So when I tell brothers and sisters, had the former administration win the election, Trinidad and Tobago, we might have been close to 5 months in to being under sanction. We would have been in the middle of a very, very serious adjustments. Our conversation would not only be CPEP. It would have been the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. Because we all know who was playing games with the Maduro government. We all know who was financing and helping support, finance the Maduro government under the pretense of an oil deal, under the pretense of a dragon, despite we watched Game of Thrones, dragon eliminated. We don't see what went on. But we went through a whole dragon Game of Thrones conversation in Trinidad and Tobago. So today, we're going to make today be about information. So ladies and gentlemen, I need a little call somebody. If it is you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the page. Today, we're going to do some listening. We're going to try to understand why we find ourselves in this position. Remember, the conversation is the United States of America and Venezuela. The problem that Trinidad and Tobago end up in is that the United States of America is one of our allies and Venezuela is our nearest neighbor. So that put us in the middle of our vibes. But at the end of the day, our responsibility is to continue minding our business. Now, while we might want to get in the middle of the conversation, remember we wasn't in Venezuela, we didn't have the opportunity to vote. This is despite the fact escalating to the last election, it had Venezuelans in Trinidad boasting that they were going to vote for the PNM. Anybody to debate that? Thank you very much, son. Here, I'm going to water there, please. It up in the arm. It had Venezuelans in Trinidad boasting about voting for PNM. But when it's Venezuela election, we don't want no opportunity. Matter of fact, we don't want no opportunity. We believe in democracy. Every NTC out again because I ain't see them yesterday. I think something going on with them. I think they took, thank you very much, son. I think they took a little time off or some kind of a canal going on, but we go find out exactly. But after hopefully that heavy pass through the live and see we asking, and he just might call in because he do us a calling. He was supposed to call and give an update and tell him that the right thing to do because everybody does be asking. So hopefully he will call, or as we navigate in the conversation, I'll try to give him a call. Again, I say blessed good afternoon, Pearl Sammy, Rishi, blessed good afternoon. Who we have there again by Daniel, who I seen again? Iris. Well, as you come up, ladies and gentlemen, all blessed good afternoon. I must send some love to my UNC, my coalition family. I must send some love to my member of parliament, Mr. Raymond Ernesto Kiza, and Mr. Clyde. If you I forget you, I must continue to send some love to Mr. Clyde Lalabre. Continue to big up yourself. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we send some love to our Honorable Prime Minister, our Attorney General, our Minister of Health. You have a very, very serious task at hand, but don't worry, we're there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, our responsibility is to have the relevant conversation, because if it is, we don't know what we're dealing with, well, then we go get ourselves in a problem. So my responsibility is to bring where Trinidad and Tobago at right now kind of into perspective to, if you could understand. That we can't take the politics out of it and understand with the reality that where we at. The reality of where we at. I sat back. Remember a time I came back up, I came up about 6 months ago, and I tell people, I was still on the radio, and I told people, I said, I watched some documentaries on YouTube. And the way how they were speaking about Trinidad and Tobago, it's like other countries was boasting that their drugs passing through our country. Their drugs passing through our communities. Now, mind me, no major drugs not selling in Trinidad and Tobago, you know. You ever see somebody with a gun and they walk in the road and you see them police just had a handgun, and the handgun does be in a holster? That is how Trinidad and Tobago was being described globally. Trinidad and Tobago is a holster. When it is used a big cartel and you have your drugs to pass through, whether you're heading to South America, it's coming from Colombia, it's coming from wherever it's coming from, you could afford to swing it down Trinidad and Tobago because one, certain government had them locked. Two, young people in the community don't understand the value, so we go get them to hold it in the community, make them kill each other over it, and when we done, we ship out everything and we continue living. Because again, let me get the conversation into perspective. Based on the level of drugs, we sat back in this country and hear container drugs. We hear all kind of drugs. We hear who family. The drugs conversation gets so jokey in Trinidad and Tobago. We had commissioner of police who went on raid for drugs. Lock up people for drugs. Years after, come back and tell me the person they lock up is their family. And then you never see the person who get locked up for the drugs. So if you understand how jokey the drug game is in Trinidad. So I don't know if we could comfortably say, since Mr. Dole Chady, we don't really have no serious drug dealers like that in the country, no cartel like that in the country. Trinidad and Tobago is being utilized as a hoster. We could come to terms with that, and then move forward. Or people might be wondering even why you're saying that. But before we go forward in this conversation, let me open up with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, is your son, Ruben. Father, I want to thank you, give you all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory. Lord, I pray for the minds and the hearts of brothers and sisters upon today's program. Father, I ask that you cover them, you bless their going outs and their coming ins. All those who are on the job site, Father, we pray for safety. Father, all those who children out and about on program or doing summer classes, Father, I pray that you just cover their going outs and their coming ins. Father, we pray that every single child in our nation and beyond have something to eat as they navigate forward. Father, we lift up every single parent, every responsible person who is in charge of a child. Father, we ask that you cover them, you strengthen them, you guide them, and you protect them. Lord, this afternoon we say a special prayer for our brothers and sisters outside of Trinidad and Tobago. We pray that governments on the outside continue to find favor on our citizens, Lord. Father, we pray for safety. We pray for covering for their businesses, for their homes, for their going outs and their coming ins. Father, we ask that you guide and you protect. You continue to order their steps. Lord, we say a special prayer for our governing authority in a special way. Father, we ask that you encamp your angels around our honorable Prime Minister. We continue to ask you to strengthen our Attorney General. Father, you encamp your angels around each and every minister that represent Trinidad and Tobago. Father, we ask that you guide and you cover, you protect, cover there. You encamp your angels around their offices, around their staff, around their staff's families, Father, around their communities and the cities in Trinidad and Tobago. Father, we ask that you just have your way, continue to have your way in our nation. Father, we thank you for breakthrough. Thank you for deliverance from out of hardship. Thank you, Lord, for covering us, blessing us, and guiding us and protecting us. Lord, this afternoon we say a special prayer for each and every home representing here on the live this afternoon, each and every person, every family representing this afternoon. Father, we ask that you guide and you protect, you cover, Father. Father, we pray for the changing of mindsets, the changing of attitudes in some of our citizens. Father, we pray for a spirit of unity to fluctuate. Father, we pray for a spirit of unity to take charge of our communities. Father, hear every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. So, Father, we thank you for Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for guiding us and protecting us. Thank you for everything that you have done and everything that you continue to do. In no other name but Jesus' name. Father, I ask that you continue to cover my family, continue to use us as instruments in your house. Lord, I lift up my lovely wife and my beautiful children. And Father, I ask that you strengthen me, continue to use me as an instrument. Allow me to continue to be the voice for the voiceless. Father, be the voice for the widow. Father, we even pray for the differently able and the disabled this afternoon. In no other name but Jesus' name. And we ask that you cover Trinidad and Tobago. A special way. Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I'm about to touch on something here this afternoon because you see what's going on. I notice the heights here. The heights is, you know what, I just do Facebook and you know we just do YouTube. If you notice, if you had the opportunity and you go over on the Facebook side, you would notice that we have a whole set of jokers. Now, mind me, unsign them does be no problem, you know. Unsign them does be no problem. But you see, when it starts to get stupid, that is what is annoying me. Because if it is we debating back and forth, and you talking in an angle that you're sure you know what you're saying, and then when the conversation starts, I get to realize you totally clueless, you're oblivious, and have me taking up 15, 20 minutes of my time. That does get me vexed. So listen, I get to realize it's either one out of two things. One is that the People's National Movement who boast, now ladies and gentlemen, you see bragging? This is why the word of God, God asks us to apply his word to our daily lives. So we Hindus and we Muslims and things, all you know, Haras, we are supporting all your full 100. But let me tell you this, I just read the Bible. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You see, being humble, especially when you're in a position with people expecting you to support, you see, being humble when you're in that position, it is very, very expensive, you know. And there's a group of persons in this country, they could boast about how much years the government was in power. They could tell you how wicked and nasty and how stink some Africans is. They could tell you how racial some Indian is. They could tell you how much lick bottom some African is. Boy, they have all the information only to bring down. But one thing I would be doing this afternoon, I would be holding the PNM accountable for their contribution for the lack of support in Trinidad and Tobago. Because it's about time I've been taking in mainstream media. They may say nothing, I say, well, all right. I'm taking in the PNM bloggers. They may say nothing, I say, well, they're playing bright. So I calling around now to find out, all you see this piece of information here. Now, mind me, ladies and gentlemen, something that I'm touching on, I don't think I have to run this video because I believe everybody else already heard that audio. That is the audio of the gentleman. I think he was from Bahamas, and he was speaking, he was addressing Mr. Keith Rowley. And he was talking about all the international rules that Rowley broke. And he was speaking about Rowley, his administration, and a couple of the Caribbean leaders going to prison for huddling up to have a meeting for labeling the young people of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean as terrorists instead of standing up to the responsibility. Because, ladies and gentlemen, at that timing, the former Prime Minister, which is Rowley, he was the head of the National Security Council. While being the head of the National Security Council, now mind me, the PNM didn't just have the head of the National Security Council, they also had the Minister of National Security. Now, they had the responsibility to pick a commissioner of police. We all could discuss over the years the level of bacchanal and confusion that the PNM will always be remembered for when it comes to commissioner of police. Imagine, Gary Griffith was commissioner of police. The whole thing get wigwam because Gary Griffith jumped in a pool and it looked like somebody feel Gary Griffith manhood a little more bigger than them own, and all of a sudden Gary Griffith became a problem. Because all of them was making statements. Gary makes statements, Rowley makes statements, all of them made statements. But yet still, based on the statements that all of them, now mind me, all of them on the same side of the fence, you know. All you need to sit back and understand why I explained it all it today. All of them at the same point in time, when we heard that the young lady was Young's daughter or stepdaughter, that point in time, nobody knew that Gary Griffith was connected to that young lady. Now, mind me, I've been around the world, and on top of that, there's not nothing to boast about, but I've been on the two sides of the law. And it is safe to say, you as the person connected to the person who is going to be boss. But whether you reach there and the person was there, whether you reach there and the person wasn't there, that is a conflict of interest. You're too close to the case. But because we are considered as fools in Trinidad and Tobago, we accepted that. Listen, yes, that's what I'm saying. Right. So we have people. Look, one say Gary stayed very quiet at that time. Now, mind me, while Gary Griffith and them were staying very quiet at that time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring you. Now, callers, let me hold the line. Let me hold the line for a little bit. This topic I'm dealing with here, I'm touching on a new topic here this afternoon. So, let me hold the line for a little bit. While Gary Griffith was dealing with that, because we went through the whole element, remember PNM in power. I want to know if you all remember this conversation here.
Sinking vessel. According to a media release, the Coast Guard intercepted a vessel on Thursday, and 3 foreign nationals were removed and taken aboard a patrol boat for safekeeping. While the foreign nationals were being transferred to the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard is searching for one of its sailors who went missing at sea after he became trapped in a sinking vessel. According to a media release, the Coast Guard intercepted a vessel on Thursday, and 3 foreign nationals were removed and taken aboard a patrol boat for safekeeping. While the foreign nationals were being transferred, 2 Coast Guard officers searched.
No. Let me explain something to you. That man came up and he explained to us, Rowley and them, they factually know what was going on in the Caribbean. They had the information, the government was connected. And I am about to bring you the information here. So to my brothers and sisters who continue to play PNM theatrics, while the United States and Venezuela are looking to go in the middle of a personal bacchanal, because I really don't want nothing to do with we. As much as America is we ally and Venezuela is we neighbor, that don't have anything to do with us. Because we see in the contribution that the United States of America are making when it comes to Israel and the Palestine. And it is heartbreaking. So as much as I love America and my mother, everybody living there, it is disappointing to see what is being done to the Palestine by Israel with the endorsement of the United States of America. But that don't eliminate the fact and the position that Trinidad and Tobago is in. Now, mind me, ladies and gentlemen, over the years, we listened to conversation that Trinidad and Tobago basically is a hub. People just pass the drugs here, and then the drugs are set up to North America and South America. Matter of fact, it going all over the place. Trinidad and Tobago is basically a hub, right? Now, my responsibility is to make sure and trickle back my conversation into relevance. Because as much as the PNM is out here pretending and feeling is a whole game thing, I just explained to that gentleman on my Facebook page, PNM will be out of parliament. You know, them so retarded and dunce. He didn't even the only how his mind see parliament is when his leadership. He totally in realize that the seats that the PNM control, they have a responsibility to the people who vote for them. Obviously, you notice I say control and I didn't say win, because elections and boundaries did not deliver the information that those seats were fairly won. So I could say it now, the seats that the PNM control, they don't understand that is in the parliament, they're controlling them seats. So they're allowing their representatives to go and sit down in the park, matter of fact, drink rum before they go in parliament. When they reach in parliament, all of them stone drunk. We have a young boy with a baby in the mouth crying for election. We now come out of election. We have a next one pretending that he's a Baptist, but he's really a open Bible. On top of that, based on the information, it is alleged that he's in charge of corruption. That the one who the former prime minister say have a bed in the office. That one I'm talking about. Me matter call name. I think Trinidad and Tobago don't know who I'm talking about. We have Ms. Nayan Gaspidali, who sat as the Minister of Education, sat around. We corrupt former Minister of Finance, Mr. Imbert, who was given an opportunity to help build Trinidad and Tobago. Instead, he built a high-rise building in the middle of Port of Spain, right in front of the eyes of the citizens. And on top of that, implemented property tax and make sure that it was designed to exempt him and his building. This is what we're dealing with. This is where we at. But I know what I come to talk about today. Ladies and gentlemen, only remember the Coast Guard, and again, I send condolences to every single person who lose family and loved ones along the way. We're still missing a young man down in Trimma here on Rig 110. That family is still crying for closure. We still have the diverse situation that is unclosed. Now we had the Coast Guard we're dealing with. You know what's sad and disgraceful and degrading? This conversation happened while who was in power? While who was in power? These families lost this sailor. Now, mind me, the information that I am about to play for you here, I get it from the international music. The international body explained to the world what happened in Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM government didn't bring the information. They didn't bring the information. And look, I know bringing back up the talk since we win election. So now I have to bring my evidence for you. Now, let me run back this here. These people lost their family and asking for closure. You know?
The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard is searching for one of its sailors who went missing at sea after he became trapped in a sinking vessel. According to a media release, the Coast Guard intercepted a vessel on Thursday, and 3 foreign nationals were removed and taken aboard a patrol boat for safekeeping, while the foreign nationals were being transferred to Coast Guard officers search for the possibility of other individuals on board.
Now, I want you to hold on to the elements in what you just heard, right? You heard they get the apprehended people from the vessel. You heard the Coast Guard went down with the vessel. And based on what it is you hear in the vessel, had load. Now, this is where it is research just coming. I need a little share this over. I need the PNM supporters and them to understand the slackness all the government sit down and endorse. Bad enough all they allow people children to be slaughtered in the nation's roadway. Bad enough all they allow the community to drastically run dilapidated. Bad enough all they didn't support we grandmothers. Bad enough All they handle everybody for COVID excepting the mothers and the children. All they didn't even bother to compensate the teachers. Bad enough. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to run a piece of information here for you. You will tell me if you ever heard this anyway. And then we will get down to the nitty-gritty of the video.
The ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing. The statistics are brutal. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route. If the crews spot Navy ships, they open drain valves. The submarine sinks with all the evidence. In February 2025, an officer from Trinidad drowned during the inspection of a narco-submarine when smugglers opened the hull right under the Special Forces' feet. For unbelievable profits, the crews of these submarines are ready to risk their lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if you catch that piece of information. Now, this is coming out from international bodies. Now, while you sat back, this young boy died. Mr. Fitzgerald Hines was the Minister of National Security. I remember it still have people in the public asking what really happened with that Coast Guard on the vessel. I remember his family asking for closure. And the public was never given an explanation. Never given an explanation. And that Coast Guard who died about 6 months ago, 5 months ago up the road. Let me run it back for you before we get down to the real audio.
The ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing. The statistics are brutal. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route. If the crews spot Navy ships, they open drain valves. The submarine sinks with all the evidence. In February 2025, an officer from Trinidad drowned during the inspection of a narco-submarine when smugglers opened the hull right under the Special Forces' feet. For unbelievable profits, the crews of these submarines are ready to risk their lives.
Right. Let Jen pop something here. Very, very important. Don't forget, Mr. Felix, tin and biscuit for the hard-working doctors. That is what going on. That is how they treated the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, mind me, now we coming to understand that the Coast Guard, the young man, on duty, died on duty because they apprehended a vessel. Now, the conversation with the apprehending the vessel, ladies and gentlemen, somebody asked, even Miss Rose in Point Fortin, blessed good afternoon, Miss Rose. Gonzal, big up yourself. Even Miss Rose and all asked if the United States of America, if the thing is about just drugs and guns, why did they bring the military? Well, then my responsibility is to make sure that you get the relevant information. So hold on, let me see if we could get this here. And I just want to continue to thank brothers and sisters. Those of you who are aware of what's going on. Trinidad and Tobago, we have a drug problem. We have a problem where drugs normally does be passed through our nation. Now, mind me, we're sitting with a new government, and you know in me, I totally uncomfortable with that. And the fact that our governing authority have a responsibility to fight against those level of criminal activities. We as a people have a responsibility to mind our business. Now, the United States of America put out information that, one, they're not in support of the Maduro government. Again, that is their business. And two, the drugs that navigates from Venezuela, from Colombia, and hits the shores of America, they reached to the point that they had enough. So the United States government basically is explaining that we would put all measures in place. The problem that the president of Venezuela, it's alleged, found himself in, it's alleged that he is a narco trafficker. Now, based on the information, the United States of America president and the Minister of Defense, is explaining, they're in a serious fight against narco-trafficking. Now, we're trying to get the damn video here. Right? So while the United States of America dealing with narco-trafficking, the president of Venezuela happened to be on the radar. No, not me. It's Venezuelans who scramble out of Venezuela. Venezuelans who approached the shores of Trinidad and Tobago by the 50s and by the 60s. Now again, I'm not passing judgment on nobody and nobody government. But there's only one or two reasons why somebody would scramble out of the country without passport. There's one out of two reasons why somebody will scramble out of their country without a passport. One is because you are being governed poorly. Two is because your economy collapsed. And if this is what you are dealing with, well then, brothers and sisters, we can't vex with nobody. I'm looking for the video here and not getting the video. Nah. I can't believe this.
The ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing. The statistics are brutal. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route.
Thank you. That is exactly what it is I'm looking for. Listen to this again, ladies and gentlemen.
The ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing. The statistics are brutal. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route.
Now, brothers and sisters, the question is asked, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, if the United States of America are not on Bacchanal, why would they come down here with the military? Now, again, the United States of America have a responsibility to its people and their allies. Now, brothers and sisters, I just explained to you that we have a young man who actually was a Coast Guard. We're talking law-abiding citizen, minding his business, and went to work and did not make it back home. Why he did not make it back home is because illegal activities was taking place in the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, our responsibility is what we actually holding on to. What are we actually holding on to? We could actually sit back and say, well, boy, it's a small thing, we don't have to fight up. But here it is. For the longest, Trinidad and Tobago has been a hub when it comes to drugs. For the longest. We sit back in this country and listen PNM supporters boast about PNM being in government for the longest. Is it that, now this is me asking a question. Is it that when it comes to business, the Chinese man could do business, the Syrian could do business, our East Indian brothers and sisters could do business, even the Spanish who come here could do business. But the love that PNM have for Africans in this country, because they boast about being an African-run and led party, an African-supported party. So is it that the drug market was left for Africans to play the part in? Is it that the communities in Trinidad and Tobago, the African communities, was left to play its part when it comes to drugs in Trinidad and Tobago? Is it that the only thing that the PNM supporters see is living comfortable for a little bit? Ever so often you end up in the jail. You have a son, people down the road, nobody with the boy, them fellas, and then will shoot off your head. Is it that we comfortable boasting that? Is it that we are comfortable boasting that? Because what is throwing me off, brothers and sisters, we in Trinidad and Tobago under the impression that what taking place, the PNM don't know. The PNM is the persons who put this whole stupidness in place. They are aware of what is taking place. There have never been a time where a government have been in power and they did not have security. And if you telling me that there's videos, there's audios, there's information where the opposition who is in government today, there's audio where Barry Pararat was pleading with Mr. Fitzgerald Hines, begging him, Mr. Fitzgerald Hines, sir, what is the issue with the vessels? What is the issue with the vessels? There is audio with that information. And Mr. Fitzgerald Hines plays zigzag. He play all kind of games, all kind of trickery. While people were losing their children in his own community. While the doors of opportunity stayed closed in his own community. And anybody who have basic common sense will explain to you. A proper ingredient for crime is poverty. You want to encourage young people to just end up in a position whereby I really have to hold this gun by. All you have to do is make sure and don't do no profiling. All you have to do is make sure, ladies and gentlemen, don't do no stand, don't do nothing. And on top of that, you throw a little salt in it. And you set the structure to say, listen, the reason why all you don't have nothing is because the Indian man in Trinidad, is because the Syrian man in Trinidad, is because the Chinese man in Trinidad, is because the Spanish, them in Trinidad now. And on top of that, the reason why all you don't have nothing is because the bank don't want to give all you nothing. But I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago today. I want to ask all you today. If you train your friends to talk to your children disrespectfully, the only thing that would happen, well, let me just say Nick, I now see Nick. Nick don't get no harass, but just saying. Let me just say Nick, every time Nick pop a comment, all are we bashing Nick. We calling Nick foolish. We calling Nick all kind of disrespectful names. Automatic by tomorrow evening, when we come up to do our program and Nick tune in, everybody who visiting and everybody who done here go disrespect Nick. You know why? Because we train each other to treat each other like that. So nobody cannot get me to believe the reason why African people don't have nothing in this country is because the Indian man. You can't catch me with that, Mr. PNM. The reason why African people, especially in African communities, don't have anything is because of poor African representation. It's because of that. Take, for instance, all right. It have people in point like Anthony Williams, who went to England and cannot explain to the people the activities he was doing in England. Anthony putting anybody illegal, Williams, from Point Fortin. Let me take Anthony Williams. Anthony Williams' synopsis is that he not supporting the government, he damn displeased with the government. Okay? This is Anthony's argument. And Anthony's argument now is that Ernesto Raymond Kiza, he basically not good. He is basically not good. Now, mind me, ladies and gentlemen, let me give all the basic facts. Mr. Raymond Ernesto Kiza inherited over 30 years of neglect in Point Fortin. If they have a person in the PNM in Point Fortin could come up on this page here. This page is public and boast about Point Fortin and Point Fortin representation. As much as the level of crime is high, as much as that Coast Guard family lost their son and the former PNM administration with the Minister of National Security and, ladies and gentlemen, the head of the National Security Council being the Prime Minister refused to explain to that family exactly what it is happened to their son. They didn't explain to the people. And the PNM supporters out and about trying to convince you that Indian people using Africa. Now, mind me, hear me, Listen, the evidence I am going to give you publicly here today, and every PNM have an opportunity to dispute it. Every PNM have an opportunity to tell you today Irving is a blasted liar. In the history of PNM in Point Fortin, now what I'm going to tell you here, first it's serious, I will take you on a trip down memory lane. Especially PNM in Point Fortin, they have a reputation of explaining to people that they could put a crapo in a suit and PNM people in Point Fortin would vote for it. Matter of fact, Point Fortin was the place that the PNM Prime Minister, which was Mr. Eric Williams at the point in time, and stood up and told the PNM supporters in Point Fortin that if Trinidad and Tobago was a donkey, listen what Eric Williams told them and get a proper round of applause. You know. Eric Williams told them, while they was in the PNM jersey and he in a jacket and tie just like myself, he told them that if Trinidad and Tobago was a donkey, Point Fortin would be right under the tail. And the people in Point Fortin clapped down the place. Good speech. Where the hell is when they reach home? It's then they realize what the man tell them. You know? And them expect we, the new generation, to continue to stay right under the tail. Right there. Stay right there. You don't need, now mind me, ladies and gentlemen, this conversation came out because again, I had to do my research. I get the information from the elderly brothers and sisters. The PNM had just won the election. And you know when they win the election, the organization who win does have a the victory lap. Well, at that time, the PNM, the Prime Minister, used to tour the country. And he reached down to Point Fortin, and the conversation is Point Fortin, what they want. The people in Point Fortin said they were PNM. And clapping, hey, we were PNM. They say Eric Williams said, hold. Hold, we done win the election. Point Fortin, what all you want? We were PNM. They said the man had to low down, what they call it, hearing aid. All we done, had to explain to them too, you know, all we done win the election. We have 5 years in the bag. So I come now. Now mind me, while that question is being asked, listen the level of stupidness take place there that day. You know? While that question is being asked by the former Prime Minister, Point Fortin already had footballers. We already had netballers. Jarut's pan orchestra was already there. Ladies and gentlemen, we already had giftings. We already had talents. Everybody they done peep out. So all that was needed was the relevant thing to be implemented. Only watch my browsing through Facebook this morning. And I don't call me, I said, girl, what's this? When I see it, I see learn how to learn Indian music. There is a course that online. I see that on Facebook. I say, watch. And when I tell people, the Indian people does make investment in their own people. Whether you have to pay or it free, listen to the conversation. Come, learn chutney music or some kind of thing the flyer say. And I say, by the way, I born and I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, we had Guardian, we had Express, we had the bomb. You have to be drastically good to end up in a Calypso tent. I say that to come back down to Point Fortin. While Eric Williams was asking them in Point Fortin what they wanted. All they wanted is PNM. And after 30-something years, I failed there under the PNM. Because none of them wanted anything. They didn't want good roads. They didn't even want a Calypso tent. Some of the best tennis players come from Point Fortin. They didn't want a good court. I keep begging all you drive down to Point Fortin before the budget reading. Drive down and see the nastiness and the wickedness that they did to the people. At one point in time, in over 85% of Trinidad and Tobago football team was from Point Fortin. Come and see how much good football field we have. They take our oval and turn it into a football field and still convince their supporters that is our oval. First, all they want is PNM. They take our oval where you could do running and all different kind of sports. Scrap that down. Build back a football field and convince their supporters, don't mind you're seeing a football field. Don't mind that is only football that you could play. That is our oval. And them get the people to convince and believe that. So when I see people like Anthony or Antoinette Williams and them in Point Fortin trying to explain to you about UNC wicked and Kiza ain't good, them is the kind of damages that Kiza had to come to fix now under the UNC. He had to formulate his conversation. Now mind me, remember my member of parliament can't bounce in nobody's office and swing by no minister of sports. Hey, we need this. We had to get this now. We want my member of parliament is not so that it's going on. It's not so that it's go. Because as much as we voting in Point, Princess Tong voting. As much as Princess Tong voting, Marabella voting. As much as Marabella voting, Shoguna's voting. As much as Shoguna's voting, Cedros voting. So it's the whole country that was neglected. So they were telling, especially people who consider themselves UNC supporters, all of us baffle me to know. We ain't even reached 5 months yet. You done on social media. And here the bad thing, your member of parliament was always a UNC. So your member of parliament sit down under the UNC, take strain, embarrassment, watch his leader get disrespected week after week after week. And in exchange for that, in less than 5 months, you come to tell the prime minister that your leader not doing no work. And it's years your leader sit down there. This is after I, Irvin Felix, tell you. My tongue was a PNM tongue. When I bring you information, I could carry you down Fanny Village, where the CEO of the borough. Now, mind me, that is not supposed to be politically aligned. Them fix the drain just equivalent to the house. And everybody else, everybody in the same lineup, you know. But you fix the drain to save your own house. That is what they did to the people. That is the kind of damages we're dealing with. Go down Ponde Street and the end. If have a lady down there, the PNM borough took the woman to court to take the woman out to your own house. Thank God the High Court she win the case. And up to today, they ain't going to fix the problem yet. All you feel is joking. All you feel the box up with Mr. Raymond Onesto Kiza. We have real work to do when it comes to that borough. The evidence is there. Brianna Fortune done try she best to fight for Point Fortin. And the PNM put it to she. That is not what they are about. They put it to that councillor. She was a councillor at the time. That is not, and they don't know if they didn't keep she around, they will not win election. They don't know that. So they kept her and market to the public that we're going to make sure all that man. But ask why she was removed. She was removed for bringing good programs in Point Fortin. She was removed for inviting PNM and UNC children in she programs because she represents the PNM. So PNM people alone supposed to be around she. And that is not how she represented. So that make her be less than her representatives in Point. At the same time, Brianna organizing programs and inviting everybody. The former member of parliament for Point Fortin under the PNM banner, loading up people with buses and carrying them over the border. UNC in opposition, and UNC had to feed the people. UNC in opposition, that what went on in Point here, you know? The kind of damages Mr. Kiza had to fix, you know? This thing is not just a not having money, not having pavilion, not having adequate sidewalk thing. Is a mental set of licks people take. It's mental. We think people who was on that bus heading over the border didn't find it strange. Wait now, Biden Kennedy now win the election. How are we going in a UNC area to receive handouts? That is what they did. So as much as they just try to tell you, UNC can handle this scene. Obviously, PNM can't. We were never supposed to give Rowley that 2 terms. They can't. They can't. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is not the major thing I come to talk about. I come to bring some information to you. The United States of America government with the military is outside of Trinidad and Tobago. Because the conversation is that the Venezuelan government is a narco government. Again, we are living down there. We don't have no opportunity to tell nobody nothing, ask nobody nothing. The people and them do the investigation, and that is what they get. And the American government say that narco government have to go. But brothers and sisters, that is not even really the major problem, you know. The major problem is that it have vessels that's be passing in Trinidad and Tobago waters. Our Coast Guard, he died in our waters. It have vessels passing under the water, like submarine. Under the water. And the amount of drugs these people and them moving with, it say that it could do a budget for a first world country. Again, that is not our business. You passing with your drugs, no problem. But please, just don't pass in our waters. And the problem we have is that these drugs passing through Trinidad and Tobago waters. What's sad with it is that we have a Coast Guard structure that is not fully equipped. They are not. I told you, I saw the videos where Barry Padarat was begging them to give back the Coast Guard them the boats. I saw the videos. So when somebody tried to come to you today to try to explain to you now, because you know some of this slow-minded person go say, well, UNC in power, why didn't fix it again? The UNC didn't get an opportunity to read a budget yet. So the only monies that they could spend, you realized the other day we went back in the mid-year budget review, the only monies they could spend is that monies. Any other thing is a problem. It falls under corruption. The only group could do that, could spend money that they didn't ask for, is the PNM and Faris Alwari. That is the only political group because they under the impression that the monies in Trinidad and Tobago is PNM money. They don't understand that the structure of Trinidad and Tobago, everybody is not politically aligned. As much as I stand up and I endorse my UNC, it have people who don't care about politics, and we cannot box them out of society. Them and all have a say. They have a say. But when you're looking at a nation that has been exposed for so long, and look at it, these people lost their son. But just the other day, I was in a conversation and people were still asking, how did that Coast Guard lose his life? Brothers and sisters, the drug traffickers and them, they're so wet. They're building submarine and having the submarine and then moving automatic. And even self the could man, they have man on board on the submarine. They still have mechanisms where they could control. So just in case the Coast Guard bus, they could flood. That is exactly what happened to our comrade. That is exactly what happened to our citizen while investigating. Because if you notice the conversation, this is what happened with the young man. If you notice the conversation, in the conversation, brothers and sisters, you will notice that the person said, they apprehended persons. They apprehended persons. Listen to the conversation here.
Tobago Coast Guard is searching for one of its sailors who went missing at sea after he became trapped in a sinking vessel.
What do you think happened there? They already get the men and them out, and he went back in the vessel to check to see if it have anybody else remain, which is the right thing to do, because that's what they are trained to do. He wasn't doing nothing wrong. He wasn't doing nothing illegal. So Father God, I pray this family get redressed as soon as possible. As much as we praying for the gentleman from Rig 110. The gentleman went back to check to see if it have anybody, and the hatch was pulled automatically. And it designed in a way for the submarine to sink fast so that the police can't get the evidence. That is the structure, how it was built. And that is what our Coast Guard was caught up in. So while you thinking that, nah man, it's them little chupiness you see on a pirogue day where they pulling over 2-3 boy with 50 brick of marijuana. And you thinking marijuana is a chip off the iceberg. What is the ship radar agreement about? That is why I'm looking for the video. That is what I'm looking for, you know. That is what it is I'm looking for. And I really not getting the damn video, but the sad thing with it is that I have the video downloaded, you know. And this is the same thing what happened to me yesterday. Is, ladies and gentlemen, all it really needs to understand what's going on in other country. Trinidad and Tobago is being used, and it's not Trinidad and Tobago alone. There's a lot of different countries in the midst of this, and the majority of them countries looked at Rowley and his government as mad people. That is why when we heard people speaking against them, we thinking people fighting down the prime minister. But it wasn't that. It's based on what they allowed to take place under their stewardship. I really, really, really not getting this thing by. So as I was saying, the gentleman went back to look to see if it had anybody else on the boat, on the vessel, and they pulled the hatch, and then people lost their son. And the news media apparently them didn't know. Apparently, like the PNM government pretending that they don't know. I'm looking for a video here. But one thing that they can't pretend, they cannot pretend that they did not know the level of drug activities taking place in Trinidad waters. And the level of drug activities that took place in Trinidad waters. The evidence show that Mr. Barry Padarat, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessa, Anil Roberts, everybody in the opposition put up proper debate for PNM to do the right thing. And the right thing is putting the relevant structure in place, guard our borders. And it was a joke to them. They didn't want to hear that. When UNC talk, they say UNC fighting down the government. When UNC talk, they say UNC have no respect for the government. When UNC talk, they say UNC out of place. But brothers and sisters, look at where we are today. We're losing coast guards who doing the legal thing. We're losing young people on the streets because of activities allowed to happen. We're losing family members and loved ones. I tell you, I scrape through the community. Walk through your community. If you see 40 piper in your community, you see plenty. I live in the United States of America, you know. I live in the United States of America. So you need to walk through your community, and if you see 30 piper in one community, you see plenty. So that means something could be done to bring about the relevant support, to curve, to divert people from that. Something could be done. But instead, everything happened to be a joke in this country. Everything happened to be a joke, is a comedy fest in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to run something for you here. I want to run something for you.
In the first 2 months, sent home 10,000 people. I am now told that if you check the 10,000 URP people and the 4,000 forestry workers, they reach 25,000 people. But
I just run that piece of thing there because every day I just tell all you, they didn't have one person in the PNM have the exact figure of how much people was actually working CPEP. Now listen to me. There he go again while his government was in charge. This is just me showing you how these people and them, they didn't have the interest at heart when it comes to national security. They left the borders exposed. They had a ball. Now mind me, while they're dealing with that, they had the opportunity to run, control, and govern CPEP, Forest Reserve, and URP. Now listen, Keith Scotland. Jennifer Frederick telling you is 30,000. Google telling you is 15,000. The news telling you is 13,000. Paris telling you is 12,000. Now Scotland saying it's 10,000. So this is why I've been telling people in Trinidad and Tobago, and I've been telling the PNM supporters, instead of coming out here on a daily basis and continuing to embarrass Trinidad, especially the Africans in the PNM, instead of coming out here on a daily basis and continually embarrassing Trinidad and Tobago, why all they do just have a meeting? Huddle up at a meeting now, yes. We don't know all around all kind of ghost gang. We don't know it had MPs with contracts on the name and mayors with contracts on the name. We don't know about them thing. But only have a meeting now. So when at least when only come out in the public domain, when only having a conversation, at least we go know well by now that it really had X amount of people working CPEP. Right now, you somebody calling from foreign and them ask me literally, even how much people had physically working on the ground in CPEP. Nobody in this country have the answer. Nobody in this country have the answer. The UNC wouldn't know because when you say on the ground directly, PNM was in charge. And the PNM do not know because all of them was given an opportunity to speak. Kareem Marshall have a different figure. Hans have a different figure. Miss Penelope Beckles figure different to Marvin Gonzalez. So it's like the PNM organization, like them and all is a coalition. So like we had to call PNM, the PNM coalition of interest too. Just this morning, them on my page kicks off. Irvin, what you're telling me? UNC win no election. Is UNC and a group of people as a whole on is yes, is UNC and the coalition of interest. Nobody afraid to say that. But the fact that the PNM have Penelope Beckles as a leader. But when Stuart Young having a meeting, Penelope Beckles is not in the building. When Penelope having a meeting, Stuart not in the building. So obviously the people of, and based on how Jennifer Frederick have been showing her tantrum, we listen to the division in all the party. This is why we keep telling brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago, misery like company. These people have made up their mind that they're comfortable living in poverty. They made up their mind that they rather argue for $86,000 for a man who make barely 124 hours as a prime minister. They argue for a man to get $86,000 a month who barely made 24 hours as a prime minister. You know what they didn't argue for? They didn't argue when the PNM was in power. Imboat was raising gas unjustly to people. They didn't argue for a raise for public servants. You know what they didn't argue for? They didn't sit back and argue to get the schools and them justly rectified so that the children and them don't go to school in flood waters. They didn't argue for that. You know what they didn't argue for? Despite Trinidad and Tobago being the #1 supplier of asphalt in the world, they didn't argue for good roads. You know what they didn't argue for? They know factually that the African community in Trinidad and Tobago could really do with a financial breakthrough. We are skilled, gifted, and talented people in our spaces. But because of because of an African government refusing to endorse Africans. First, they're serious with it. They allow Faris Alwari. First, they're serious about it. They allow Faris Alwari to call Mr. John Jeremy stupid. They allow Faris Alwari to call Mr. John Jeremy stupid. Keith Scotland allowed that. Amy Brown allowed that. Miss Penelope Beckles allowed that. Nasty Anthony Williams and them allow that. They allow that. They endorse that. This is why Anthony Williams could go up on his page and address Indian people how he feel. Because why? Spiritually, he learned it. Why? Spiritually,
Can't break cowards.
Why? Because just it is embedded in them. They were taught have no respect for nobody. They were taught. Let me get something for you. Let me feel this thing is jigs. Let me run this next kicks body for you.
Tomorrow makes it 1 month since the state of emergency was declared. All the players in the prison Rajai and who else that you will identify as being the plotters, and only moved to Stobles Bay and Ketron. Up to now, 1 month later, not one man ain't get charged. They're in custody. You also the intelligence identified these people as being part of the plot, but not one charge has been laid.
Now, mind me, ladies and gentlemen, these fellas and them love to use the THs. When they look down on my direction, they're quick to call me stupid. This dude now is trying to explain to the a little power, you know. Same thing I'm telling you, people, you know. You take African, some of them, and you give them power, overdo it. A little power, all of a sudden now he want to tell the police when to do their work. Listen him explain to you that they under arrest. Obviously investigation going on. But he find the UNC should send Pararat and Miss Kamala to lock them up and charge them before the court. The level of retarded representation these people and them get. But this is an insult to differently able people and undisabled people. You know. The way how these people does speak, them is a special kind of special. You know. This is madness, boy.
Against any of these men in a whole month. Intelligence, one would assume, would provide evidence to say, yeah, this one and that one involved, but a whole month later, nobody didn't get charged. The rocket launcher that was supposed to be used to blow up the AG's office has not been retrieved. Not a grenade.
Just in case, ladies and gentlemen, just in case it have people who don't understand how the thing does go, we have a Homeland Security Minister, and we have a Minister of Security again, which is Mr. Sturge. We have a Commissioner of Police. Now, mind me, ladies and gentlemen, Minister of Homeland Security, he have a responsibility to put the relevant resources, the relevant structure in place. He don't actually go out to fight crime. But if push come to shove, like how the PNM was able to break their murder records back to back, one would want to expect your security ministers being a part of proper planning to address crime. The only difference is PNM, Minister of National Security, and the Prime Minister say that is not their business, and obviously they didn't care. UNC.
Not a gun.
UNC understand that they have a responsibility to the people. So those of you who under the impression that Mr. Roger Alexander and Mr. Sturge probably supposed to dress up like Billy the Kid and go out there and deal with crime, that is not how it takes place. Mr. Alexander already did a part of his job. Part of his job was getting us a commissioner of police without confusion. Obviously today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a commissioner of police without confusion. So this is when our commissioner of police need the relevant resources. Now, mind me, as much as we have a new commissioner of police, we also have to remember the conversation that we actually inherited. Now, while we have a commissioner of police and his responsibilities to motivate and to continue promoting and to make sure that the police officers do the right thing, we as people in Trinidad and Tobago, we must always remember that we have police officers out there that are not fully equipped. So as much as he endorsing them and he pushing them to do the best, we must remember that we have police officers with expired bulletproof vests. We have inadequate cameras because all these things have been amended. So no problem. The nice thing with it, our minister, which is Mr. Alexander, already came out and spoke. We acknowledge it. Bless good afternoon, Dalbelly. First call for the day. How are you doing, brother?
Dear man, I just relaxing and listening your program now, as usual.
Yes, man. Dr. W, what's your name?
I'm trying. I'm watching, boy. I have a binocular there, boy. I'm watching some boat coming in there, boy. Some ship coming from America there. Like they're heading for Venezuela. You have any idea?
Yeah, this is what I was just explaining to people there. As much as we thinking is a basic drug problem we have, is a major drug problem that we have in the Caribbean, and I don't know why I'm not getting this video.
Oh shit.
Go ahead.
You want any video?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. It's really how audio. I'm looking for it.
I see on YouTube a fake think we're kill Maduro. That's a fake video.
I feel so. I would have done get that already.
Yeah, that was like fake there.
I would have done get that.
It appears like these fellas and who dealing with drugs like that, submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was hearing something about that.
Yes, that is part
Oh,
of the
yeah.
problem.
Yes. Them using high power, good mood. Yeah, so you can't catch them easily.
That is it. And then we sending Coast Guards out there, you know. We can't send Coast Guards
Yeah.
out there.
We Coast Guard and them petty to what America have.
Thank you. Now mind me, while America is
Yeah.
equipped, America Coast Guard and all getting problem apprehending them. So this is where the military come in now with the radar system and the sonar system and all these things and them.
Yeah. I think they said they could only control 11%.
Yeah.
You hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, 11%. So it's difficult still. They still can't control
The
it.
Caribbean Sea, July 2000.
System.
Right, I get the audio. When you're done talking, I go run the audio there now. I go let it be.
What you get from me yesterday?
I didn't get
You were supposed to call me yesterday.
No, yesterday when I done, I leave. I take my little while to reach down the road and watch me. I had to run one time. So today, I look this morning and all I was running, I say I would have called it before I start this morning. But here is, as soon as I done today, time and call me one time.
Yeah, whole night I waiting for the call there, boy. Me sleep last night. I say you will call me.
I'm coming kind of late, you know, after 9
Question for me, boy.
Wait.
I had a whole pot of dal there, boy, and I drink all the dal, yes.
Where you see? I could drink a dal today, talking that I feel like drinking a dal today.
Yeah, I had a whole pot there waiting on you there, boy, and I waiting for the call, and I drink all the whole pot of dal last night, yes. Well, with some hot pepper, boy.
Dal belly.
Pressure, boy.
Dal belly. Those
Yeah.
Dal belly, let me run this audio for you, so people could understand what really going on in the Caribbean Sea.
Word, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, nothing happened before it time. Nothing happened before it time. And I'm telling you, they're looking for this audio here. And I can't hear it. So I need you to sit back and take a proper listen to this here. Understand? I need you to understand and get a vivid picture. Because people asking why the American military down here. American military explain the fight is against drugs. It so happened that the Venezuela government, it is alleged. Again, we living in Trinidad and Tobago, so I can tell you in Trinidad and Tobago, the man is a drug dealer. Me and no investigator, me don't have a link. Right? But what I could give you is that we have a drug problem, and the drug problem happened to be passing through Trinidad and Tobago. So I needed to call somebody who knows somebody. I need to listen to this carefully.
2025. The Coast Guard spots a mysterious blue boat, almost completely submerged, no flag, no markings. It's moving suspiciously slowly. Officers approach, knock on the hatch, and board the vessel. Inside, there isn't a single person, only video cameras, complex electronics, and a Starlink satellite antenna. When experts realized the true purpose of this vessel, they were stunned. It was the world's first fully unmanned narco-submarine remotely controlled from some office thousands of kilometers away. And this vessel had become the high-tech peak of a criminal evolution that has been going on for a quarter of a century. In just over 20 years, drug cartels have created a true underwater empire, the scale of which is hard to imagine. The story of this empire started almost like a joke, but by 2025, it had become a never-ending nightmare for law enforcement agencies around the world. Late 1980s, a strange object washes up on the coast of Florida, a 20-meter-long homemade metal coffin with a motor. This was the first narco-submarine in history. People laughed at how crude it was and forgot about it. After all, what kind of threat could come from a pile of welded scrap metal? But no one could have imagined what it would turn into. By the early 2000s, the jungles of Colombia saw the rise of the first serious drug submarine.
Now, only listen to the names that is calling it, and you're going to see how nice Trinidad and Tobago name calling this. Just listen for me, please.
Built for one purpose only, to carry narcotics. They were called low-profile vessels, made of fiberglass at secret shipyards, hidden beneath the jungle canopy along the Pacific coast. Inside, 5 crew members, a diesel engine, and up to 7 tons of cocaine. The crew slept on bags of drugs, breathed through a small hole in the roof, and prayed the engine wouldn't fail in the middle of the ocean. That's why they called these pathetic boats floating coffins. But even back then, the cartel's engineering tricks were impressive. The subs were painted in dull greenish gray to blend in with the ocean. Only half a meter of the hull stuck out above the water, usually invisible to radar, satellites, and even Coast Guard patrols, who often mistook them for floating trash. One of these boats cost around $500,000 to build, but the cargo inside could be worth up to $400 million. The math was simple. Early routes took about...
Now listen to me. $400 million. Math simple. Again, I encouraging you to listen how easy Trinidad and Tobago end up in the middle of all this. I know you might be saying, well, what does really have to do with Trinidad and Tobago? Just listen.
A week from the Colombian coast to Panama or Mexico. But the cartels quickly learned the golden rule of business. If something works, scale it up. Why travel only 1,000 kilometers when you could travel 10,000? In 2008, the U.S. Coast Guard detected 42 such vessels near Central America in just 6 months. Analysts estimated that 85 similar trips could have delivered more than 500 tons of cocaine to the U.S. alone.
Right.
But the most incredible part was still ahead. By the 2010s, narco-submarines began to cross the Atlantic. The route from the Brazilian Amazon to Galicia, Spain, 6,000...
Now we're keeping in mind, ladies and gentlemen, 600 ton of cocaine, $400 million in cocaine, narco-submarine. Despite where you're here in Colombia, you're here in all different places, but the destination is the United States of America. So while you sit back there, and we're asking, well, all right, but why send military? Again, please listen. And please listen, you would see how skillful Trinidad and Tobago end up in this.
500 kilometers across the entire Atlantic. Took 1 month. In 2019, the Spanish Coast Guard intercepted one such vessel off the coast of Galicia after 27 days at sea. On board were 3 exhausted men and cocaine worth $139 million. When inspectors climbed inside, they saw a floating hell. No comforts. Frayed wires hung from the ceiling, the engine was crammed into a tiny cabinet, and there was no toilet at all. For a whole month, the men had slept on the bare floor between pipes and fuel tanks. Yet this crude machine had made it halfway across the planet, completely avoiding all tracking systems. And that's when the real technology race began. The submarines grew bigger and smarter every year. Ballast systems for full submersion appeared, cameras on retractable snorkels, and advanced navigation equipment. Some models learned to disappear completely underwater, leaving only a thin air intake above the surface. These advanced snorkel subs cost up to $2 million, could carry 8 tons of cargo, and became true ghosts of the ocean. Here's a fact that even shocks experts. Not a single snorkel sub has ever been caught in open water, only on land after unloading. One such vessel, Poseidon, was found submerged in 2023 off the Spanish coast. 22 meters long, a carbon fiber hull and nothing inside, just empty compartments. The crew had vanished with the cargo, leaving behind only a ghostly shell. Then the cartels made a move that stunned intelligence agencies. In 2020, deep in the Colombian jungle, a 12-meter-long electric submarine was discovered. It cost $1.5 million. It had 10 tons of batteries, 2 silent electric motors, and an underwater range of 55 kilometers. all without making a sound. But the real genius was in the details. This submarine had a towing ring. A large ship would pull it across the ocean like an invisible trailer, then detach it near the coast. From there, it would sail on its own, completely silent, with no exhaust, like an underwater ghost. And then, in the summer of 2025, a technological breakthrough changed the rules forever. That same blue boat off the coast of Colombia belonged to the Clan del Golfo, the country's largest drug empire. The submarine was controlled via Starlink satellites, equipped with cameras inside and out, and was capable of carrying 1.5 tons of cocaine to any point on the planet.
Yeah.
It was piloted by an operator sitting safely thousands of kilometers away. One person could control a dozen of these vessels at once. No one could be arrested, questioned, or bribed. The boat was empty. It was a test run, a systems check before the full-scale launch of underwater drones. Researchers from the Colombian Institute for Development and Peace uncovered a stunning fact. Mexican cartels had begun hiring tech experts and engineers to build unmanned submarines as early as 2017. 8 years of secret development, and now the result was out in the ocean. Having no crew solved one of the biggest problems in the drug business: the risk of captured sailors turning informants. Plus, there was no more need to convince people to climb into floating coffins. But the most alarming part: this technology spread beyond South America at lightning speed. Soon, the Indian Coast Guard seized a vessel near the Andaman Islands, carrying $4.5 billion worth of methamphetamine. That astronomical amount exceeds the entire GDP of Madagascar or Iceland. Just imagine the scale of modern drug trafficking.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we listen on, you're understanding, despite what one might ask, why America trying to block drugs, or trying to block vessel, or trying to get rid of Maduro. Again, the conversation is, it's alleged that the president of Venezuela had cocoa in the sun. Well, Trinidad, let me just say it so, had cocoa in the sun, right? And that being said and done, in this region, you notice how nice they pronounce South America. Just now you would hear how Trinidad and Tobago fit in. You would understand how we are being affected. You would understand how our family is mourning because of this same thing that's taking place here. The only person who didn't let us know what's going on.
The value of the drugs in one submarine is greater than the budget of an entire country. The vessel was remotely...
What's going on, brother? Bless, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Felix. From Trinidad to Tobago. Good afternoon to everyone. Just want to bring up people to the conversation. I know it's in and out, it's but
yeah.
In the beginning of the conversation, that America is not threat to, if anything happens in America, Trinidad is not will be affected, right?
Yeah.
But when I listen to one of these videos that the Narco-submarine that when the Coast Guard went missing,
yeah,
what was the name of the submarine? It was a Narco-submarine,
yeah,
right?
I get into that.
That
is on here. That is what I get into. That is exactly what I get into.
Right. So and again, right? This video is put with Colombia, but how he is not going after the Colombian president, right?
That's the question there.
Right. Where's the evidence? Is here America to this? You pass Haiti, you know. We have so much a problem to come down to disturb the West here. With peace, this is the only spot in the world I believe is so quiet.
Yeah.
And only one America want to bring to disturb here. I mean, if America is saying that what they want to do is, I fine with that.
Yeah.
But you know, America now, you know, they have a war submarine down here. Well, coming to that to the around Venezuela and south north of the Caribbean seas, they are bringing a nuclear submarine.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a nuclear submarine on that fleet, on that fleet. So people don't get carried away with this thing is taking a place, you know. You ain't trying to solve Israel, right? Where the Palestinian are genocide every day.
Yeah.
Mr. Felix, you see America and the destruction. Just you know the FBI within the Taliban war.
Yeah,
That the FBI was in drug trade with the Taliban. You understand? Just the other day, there were videos surfacing on social media where the FBI is claiming yes they're doing drugs with some. I can't remember the whole thing, but the whole thing that the FBI was involved in drugs. Yeah. But only don't get time with America. If people in them oil, right? If they want to stop the cocaine, fair and fine. But they want to go in there to get the people oil. You understand? And this thing will not peel out. Like you remember, the base belongs to the American. Yeah. Right. So people can say America. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with China. You understand? And they will assemble fleets from here.
Say no. You say no more, brother.
So we just hope for peace. You understand?
Yes.
That way we find the region is too quiet. I think that a press conference this morning with the Venezuelan ambassador. You understand? Right? Look. Just last week, just yesterday, they banned the finance minister from Grenada from obtaining that visa because they say that the doctors and them, the Cuban doctors, just go all over the world and help people. You understand? And they banned the man, no more visa for him to go to America because they say the businesses is wherever they want to put it. Everything American labor, they're right.
Let me ask you a question though. He was one of them prime ministers who was in the meeting trying to label young people as terrorists in the Caribbean. If he was one of them, who is he? Who is he? The prime minister there, who get banned?
No, the prime minister get banned because the finance minister get banned from Grenada because they're saying, the Cuban doctors just go to Caribbean countries, right? And they ban him because he's the finance minister. He will do all the transactions for them to come to the country, right? So that the first Caribbean country, I think that happened the day before yesterday, that where one of the ministers, the visa was revoked or something like that, right? Okay. Right? Okay. So Barbados are making clear already. You understand? Right. Within the COVID, the Cuban doctors had saved a lot of people's lives around the world.
All right. Let me run out this video. Let me run out this audio here.
Right, I'm all listening.
Locked on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me hold the line here. Let me run out this video here before we get back to conversation.
The vessel was remotely operated via Starlink and had come from the jungles of Myanmar. Local syndicates had simply copied Colombian blueprints and adapted them to Asian conditions. In Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia, rivers are now filled with mini submarines disguised as simple fishing buoys. They're controlled by radio and surface at night off the coasts of Malaysia and Indonesia to unload their illegal cargo. Recently, Spanish police caught 3 unmanned underwater drones in the Strait of Gibraltar, each carrying 200 kilograms of hashish from Morocco. The technology of unmanned narco-subs is spreading across the planet faster than any virus. Today, these underwater machines are cruising every ocean on Earth. The classic routes from Colombia through Panama to the US, or from Brazil through the Canary Islands to Europe. But new extreme routes have emerged across the Pacific Ocean straight to Australia. In November 2024, a joint intelligence operation called Orion, involving 62 countries, uncovered this supply channel. A submarine.
Now mind me, ladies and gentlemen, in 2024, even just before November, there is audio by, if I didn't have this line up here, I would have bring back the audio to show you. Matter of fact, tomorrow, please, you know, I will play it for you. With Barry Padarat and Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa and Anil Roberts, because everybody was begging Mr. Fitzgerald Hines concerning we vessels. They were begging them, Ole, please, because this operation was in the air. Listen to the amount of countries that was involved in it. That is what I'm telling all you. Somebody played game or somebody profited from these activities.
Legal cargo. Recently, Spanish police caught 3 unmanned underwater drones in the Strait of Gibraltar, each carrying 200 kilograms of hashish from Morocco. The technology of unmanned narco-subs is spreading across the planet faster than any virus. Today, these underwater machines are cruising every ocean on Earth. The classic routes from Colombia through Panama to the US, or from Brazil through the Canary Islands to Europe. But new extreme routes have emerged, across the Pacific Ocean straight to Australia. In November 2024, a joint intelligence operation called Orion, involving 62 countries, uncovered this supply channel. A submarine carrying 5 tons of cocaine was intercepted 2,000 kilometers from Clipperton Island. It was headed for Sydney and Auckland. During the course of this massive operation, law enforcement managed to seize 225 tons of cocaine on land and sea, a world record. But the result was almost meaningless. The amount of cocaine on the streets didn't go down. The explanation is simple. 1 kilogram of cocaine in Australia sells for $240,000, almost 6 times the US price. With profit margins like that, cartels are willing to cross half the planet and build submarines by the hundreds. Captain Manuel Rodriguez from Colombia's anti-narcotics unit admitted to journalists, the Pacific route has become a new reality. Sometimes they spot drug submarines in the open ocean, nearly 5,000 kilometers from the Colombian coast, with maps of Australia on board. And recently, there were reports of whale-shaped mini-subs that are transported aboard cargo ships to Cyprus, dropped in international waters, and then remotely steered toward the European coast. In 2024, law enforcement intercepted a record 30 narco-subs, but each successful delivery inspires criminals to build dozens more. This is no longer a regional problem of the Caribbean Sea. It's a global underwater war. The cartel strategy is brilliantly simple.
Let me don't leave out what the gentleman just said. This is no longer a regional problem in the Caribbean Sea. So mind me, after controlling 2 oil boom, after controlling the economy of Trinidad and Tobago for so long, nobody found it fit to put relevant structure in place concerning the future and the safety of Trinidad and Tobago borders. Ladies and gentlemen, we in 2025, now looking to start a structure. Now let me reach this what we reach and let me go.
Overwhelm the entire law enforcement system. Launch 100 submarines at once, hoping at least 10 will reach their destination. European ports process 90 million containers per year, but only a maximum of 10% can be physically inspected. The Coast Guard has thermal cameras, patrol planes, and satellites, but the ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing. The statistics are brutal. The US Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco-subs on the Eastern Pacific route.
No, let me don't leave out. No, cross-boss, you know, call it. This is why I'm telling people that we hold we hand with that day. Because when you listen to the amount of billions of dollars of drugs that have been spoken about, mind me, with 10 minutes in it, and since we start, we're talking about narco-submarine, you co-sign it, you agree, you're aware of it. So then we're supposed to be aware of the damages that is taking place. As much as we're talking oil and gas and we're talking this and we're talking that, drugs is a very, very expensive game. And on top of that, a lot of poor people lose their life, whether it be from using the product or whether it be selling the product. But the problem that we see overwhelmingly, especially in the Caribbean Sea, is that traffickers have no problem spending their money and building vessels, buying vessels, doing whatever they have to do, that they hustle. So me judging them, all handle the business. But the problem that the United States of America find themselves in is that all these drugs tend to be heading to our shores. Now, if you listen to the conversation, out of all the vessels that is tracked, only 11% of the vessels, ladies and gentlemen, listen to the conversation.
The cartel strategy is brilliantly simple. Overwhelm the entire law enforcement system. launch 100 submarines at once, hoping at least 10 will reach their destination.
Listen.
European ports process 90 million containers per year, but only a maximum of 10% can be physically inspected. The coast.
So Trinidad and Tobago are listening. The European nation, only 10% of their containers. I know we have a container problem in Trinidad too.
Coast Guard has thermal cameras, patrol planes, and satellites, but the ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing.
Listen.
The statistics are brutal. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route.
The U.S. Coast Guard only intercept that little percent on the Eastern Pacific route. Now, mind me, if they only intercepting 11%, that which shows, brothers and sisters, that the Coast Guard, apparently the equipment that they have, it's not efficient. And if we're fighting drugs, and we have the relevant equipment, well, then our responsibility is to send the relevant equipment. So I don't know what the Coast Guard and them using, but I know it's a radar and it's on it are different things that they could use. These are things that the military have. So probably, despite how we personally feel about it, based on this information here, America actually have a justifiable argument for being in the Caribbean. This is what it is I see in here. Let me go again.
% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route. If the crews spot Navy ships, they open drain valves. The submarine sinks with all the evidence. In February 2025, an officer from Trinidad drowned during the inspection of a narco-submarine when smugglers opened the hull right under the
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I told all when the conversation started, we go see how all this whole narco business, you see how with big it's songing, Colombia, Panama Channel. You hear how big it's songing? And listen, all the rest are submarine. It's either they had man on it, they end up locking up man on submarine. They even tell we about the submarine them that they can't find. But yet still, when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago, only we mourning because we lost our Coast Guard. Listen to the evidence right there.
Will reach their destination. European ports process 90 million containers per year, but only a maximum of 10% can be physically inspected. The Coast Guard has thermal cameras, patrol planes, and satellites, but the ocean is endless, and the number of underwater vessels is growing. The statistics are brutal. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepts only 11% of narco subs on the Eastern Pacific route. If the crews spot Navy ships, they open drain valves. The submarine sinks with all the evidence. In February 2025, an officer from Trinidad drowned during the inspection of a narco-submarine when smugglers opened the hull right under the Special Forces' feet. For unbelievable profits, the crews of these submarines are ready to risk their lives. In 2023, Colombians found a ghost ship drifting in the Pacific Ocean. 2 crew members had died in the engine room, poisoned by diesel exhaust. Spanish agents who patrol the Atlantic daily admit their helplessness. Criminal organizations are always one step ahead. In 5 years, only 3 submarines were caught off the coast of Galicia. But experts estimate that at least 100 more slip through unnoticed. That's a ratio of 1 to 30. And with the rise of unmanned technology, that ratio is only going to get worse. Law enforcement calls every interception a victory. But the reality is very different. Cartels continue to load tons of cocaine into homemade submarines because the method keeps working. For every sub that's caught, dozens make it through. Today, the drug trade has turned into a high-tech corporation with its own fleet and research departments. Submarines are designed with computer software, built in parts at various locations, and then assembled in jungle camps with full sleeping quarters for engineers. The cost of building one can reach $3 million, taking up to a year of non-stop work. Yet criminals build them faster than authorities can study the captured ones. Operation Orion revealed a terrifying truth. The cartels no longer fight each other. They cooperate. Mexican groups now work with Colombian, Brazilian, Ecuadorian, Peruvian, European, and Pacific networks. These are no longer scattered gangs. They're successful international corporations. The capabilities of modern narco-submarines are truly staggering. The range from Colombia to Australia is 12,000 kilometers without refueling. One sub captured in late 2024 was found 5,500 kilometers from its detailed maps of Australian ports loaded into its navigation system. The economics of single-use submarines may sound insane, but the math is solid. Despite a $2 million construction cost, many vessels are intended for one mission only. After unloading, they're either sunk or abandoned. A cargo worth $400 million easily justifies the loss. One captured drug lord,
Ladies and gentlemen, again, the phone line is open, right? I need to hear you all take on that audio that we just heard there. And I want to hear how you feel about it. Because based on what it is we just heard, that is the Caribbean. And despite everything else, there's a Trinidadian who lost their life concerning the same thing here. Now, my responsibility is to hold on to the facts. The facts is that I support the United National Congress. My Prime Minister. Big brother, talk to me.
Yeah, Mr. Felix, I just want to clear the air. I'm not the experts and are speaking about this problem leading up to Venezuela. We have no problem with America coming to stop that trade. Nobody will have no problem with that, right? Yeah. So let me put that out anyway, right? Yeah. But they now listen to them people say it's not Venezuela alone. This is a widespread, right? How much countries did they name? So how is only one specific area you are targeting right now? Right? So all right, then we say you calm down here, right? You don't have to be a dragnet. Right? If you do something like that, it's effective, right?
Yeah, so let me just take one thing into consideration, right? Just the other day, I was in Guyana when Guyana found the oil, right? And Guyana started to handle the business via ExxonMobil in Guyana. And after Exxon reached to Guyana, Venezuela sent threat to Guyana, right? Now ExxonMobil come to Trinidad and Tobago for some strange reason. Not the president, the minister. If it was average people in the community talking, no problem. But for some strange reason, the Minister of Homeland Defense in Venezuela have a problem with Trinidad and Tobago. And you see that there? I think we should utilize America, whether America come to hustle them or not. The fact is that they boast that they would come over here and do us what they want. That's what the Homeland Defense Minister said. So the fact that they have American vessels out there, ExxonMobil, we now signed the deal, and on top of that, down in Southwest, you can't remember they tell you that it's storm a barge in Salado fields. Them Venezuelans just do what they want. They just do what they want.
You know that. But the pipeline, they will have pipeline run between Trinidad and Venezuela.
No, they just do what they want.
They just cap off. They just cap off on all that now.
I would
say both Trinidad and Venezuela was doing that a couple of years ago.
Them put themselves in that position for the United States of America to come down and bully them because them trying to bully everybody in the Caribbean. I mean, we don't want nothing wrong with Venezuela, and on top of that, them is we neighbors. But at the same time, they keep sending threat to Trinidad and Tobago. Up to yesterday morning, they threatened Trinidad again.
The threat that disseminating from out of Venezuela, I listened, and is that what they are claiming is that they are using ExxonMobil for them to infiltrate on the operations. Understand? That's the threat. You understand? That's the threat they see, right? And you know, and we can and it could have, because of Venezuela have good intelligence.
Yeah.
And all this thing, when they're talking about Venezuela, I think, Felix, I am on this follow-up, you know, a week. Where Gualdo is right now? You remember Gualdo? You know what Gualdo, America take you off the streets and carry America and brainwash you to come back to Venezuela? PNC train went down when Caracas pulled the clip in and the groceries was full of food. You understand? The groceries was full of food. You understand? Just 2 weeks ago, next thing went down to Venezuela. Venezuela economy is booming. I mean, America can be whole police for everybody and have to be fair for all. You understand?
Yeah.
If I agree with that. Right? And I say it again, and I don't want to take up too much of time. If it's what America is doing to easy drug trade of things, all right, America was down Afghanistan, so it's only cocaine alone going to America. What about the heroin?
Well,
they was down there for how many years? How much poppy field it destroyed?
But you notice
it was a booming economy when America was down in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Right, so you see the one-sided kind of rhetoric. You understand? America want to disseminate to the world. They was down Afghanistan. They did eradicate the poppy going at the poppy seed. Right?
Yeah.
And if America is going to stop the flow of drugs, all well and good. But we don't want no kind of hostilities in the Caribbean. Because that would not filter all good.
True.
Right? Good program, lockdown on Islam, because there's a lot of information you're disseminating out there. But we have to be fair and balanced with the information that is disseminated.
Totally agree.
Yeah, all right, lockdown listening.
Yes, man. Totally agree. I agree with Cross Boss. So let me be fair. The assumption that some people saying is that America might come down to Trinidad. Bless good afternoon, caller.
Hey, bless good afternoon, Mr. Felix. No, Mr. Felix, I listen to everyone, and everyone had a point of view. But who been the country supporting Trinidad for years since independence and before independence? Who sent ships to see about the sickly in Trinidad? Who gave equipment to Trinidad? Who's been there? Venezuela been there? Venezuela did that to you?
I and all get opportunity to go up in the people place and embarrass my family.
No, but that is what I'm saying. So Venezuela send ship to help the sickly. Venezuela send equipment here to help the sickly and the elderly and the programs.
Understand?
Who school leaders go to for scholarships when you win and you go across? Who the athletes and them just develop in which country? Venezuela or America? Who? You see, these are just be saying, people just be talking, right? But they don't see the benefits. What Venezuela did for us for the past 50 years.
Yeah. And
you know they
threaten we, pass trade and we economy, try to tell we to come back and get the land. That ball, yeah. Some of them really are.
Yeah, for the 1990 coup, who was the first country come to assist us?
Talk now.
If Venezuela invaded, help Trinidad, we had to give Venezuela part of the land.
Yeah.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
But then, you see, these were the calls. So let me tell you something. Let them continue with their rhetoric because they're listening. America listening. And if America stop all the funding and stop helping Trinidad, I hope Venezuela can take up that slack to me.
Venezuela can help
itself.
Yeah, man, thank you.
That's what people. All right, Mr. Felix. No problem.
Now Venezuela catching me with that. I was down Venezuela before Venezuela collapsed. They're not catching me with that. They're not catching me with that. Basic necessities. Let me tell you something. The man who running the port was the translator, and he by military family. Bless good afternoon, caller.
Mr. Felix.
Talk to me, brother.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Felix.
Oh God, Kunji,
what a program.
How you doing?
I saying what a program, because I'm listening from the beginning. When I hear you tell the people them all hold the call, I say yes, hold the call. Felix going good. Felix going good. But if the Americans saying they seize 750 million US in Modoro assets. And he's still a bankrupt yet. It's 750 million US dollars in assets. The seeds of Modoro, you know.
And he moving like normal.
And he a bankrupt yet.
He normal.
And he comfortable normal. Remember the Americans saying he's the world largest narcotic trafficker?
Yes.
Why the PNM want to be Venezuelan friend?
Why would you align?
And it's not Americans. Why you align yourself with these people?
For real.
It's not only America saying he dealing in drugs, you know. It's over 50-something countries in the world saying yes, you know.
Over 60.
But Trinidad PNM keeping a blind eye towards that. Trinidad and Tobago classified as one of the main border for drugs to pass through. Right?
Yeah.
Who was in office to allow that from since 1956?
Straight up the road. There is boss. There is a good day for them to boss. There is a good
And
day for them.
PNM was in power. Them know those narcotics passing through and they allow it to pass through. Is that them grow the organization? They grow the organization.
You know what's sad?
And
Kunji, you know what's sad with it? While they sat back and grow the organization, the young black boys in Trinidad and Tobago who misguided, they tried to label them terrorists, you know.
How them can be the terrorists when them just have a little bag? When them just have a little bag in the back, in the block? How them? So what were the people them not bringing it and allowing the containers of it? What happened to them? What happened to them people and them? And you know, Keith Rowley as the Prime Minister then and the head of National Security Council, whole meeting all over the Caribbean to say the little black boys and them creating trouble and bringing up plans to lock them up. But they're leaving the big boys and them let it pass. Bring it for them. Normal. In their constituency, in them constituency. But according to what Eric Williams say, now they only have 13 seats. But Eric Williams mentioned, if you put a crapo in a Balizé tie, the African people will still vote for the crapo. Well, I say the leader of the PNM right now look like the thing under the crapo tail. Instead of the call my good black people in Point Fortin, the thing under the donkey tail, you look just like the thing under the crapo tail. Thank you.
Thank you much, Koji. Thank you much. And that is it. Trinidad and Tobago, I need to hear from you all. The information is out there. Because at the end of the day, that's speculations. People saying that America might be coming and they have no evidence. But my responsibility, as much as that might be your angle, look at the conversation that the Homeland Defense Minister of Venezuela put Trinidad and Tobago in. He keep repeating that ExxonMobil and the FBI, not the CIA, in bed with Trinidad and Tobago. And on top of that, just the other day, he already threatened to come into our waters and disrespect us. So this conversation with Trinidad and Tobago in bed with the CIA, you have evidence of that? Well, put the evidence out and they put out the video where they apprehend the young fellas and them on offshore in the drug run. The same information when my Prime Minister did. She stand, she ground, she says she already tell everybody, me and a boat runner, but the conversation went to me too. My partner Rajan, he and a boat runner, but just in case somebody call you and you decide to go offshore, and represent. If the Venezuelan authority, hold on 1 second. If the Venezuelan authority apprehend you in Venezuela waters, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and the government will not be helping you. And to me, that fear. Go ahead, big brother.
Yes, I just listen to Mr. Kunji. He makes a valid contribution. But, you all, America is so righteous, right? But Saddam Hussein, right? America tell the world they had weapons of mass destruction. You understand? So we see the credibility of America. Just about 2 months ago, I think this is South Africa. One of the presidents went to America and Trump bring out a tape so much of farmers being killed. And the man also was well, bring with this evidence. This America. Well, look down and listen. I just like to challenge people when they make statements. America can't be trusted. Americans can't be trusted when they put in information there. This is Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. And then Paul will have to come and after he come out have to say that wasn't truth. And so, and again, I stand with America. If they come to stop the drug trade, all fine and good. But don't try to paint America like they're so honest and there's no there's no transparency in the decision making. We know what America gives. Just the other day, they said that farmers getting killed by how much Trump say? By the thousands. And they are the side of the road. All they don't listen to all news or what? No, all they not into geopolitics.
We listen to that news. But what I'm saying is, when you say America, it just come like when one police do something, you know. Because you call a couple of different events. You call Saddam Hussein, which was one government, and then you call a next event and a next government. So you understand?
Mr. Felix, what I'm trying to tell you, America, when it comes to America, both Democrats and Republic, because when it comes to America, they're on one head. You see, when it comes to America, they're on one level. It's not about no Democrats and Republic when it comes to decision making of America. Yeah, they might have been fighting with politics. But when it comes to the sovereignty of America, they will do anything, both sides.
I think America's strategy reason. Let me show you something. Let me just say, let me look at America and the contribution down in Africa. If we, America, come to bring support to you, you is the leader and you want to rob your people. Mind me, we need the assets. What we need is the minerals. So if we empower you, we give you the money and you decide to embezzle your people money, that have nothing to do with the minerals that I need.
You caught me. Of course, but America is waking up. Look what Africa is waking up. You understand? Africa is waking up.
What's saying?
You understand? Because the president and them, they never serve the people, right? And you know the countries are standing up to these France and American thing. You know they blame them and they want to get rid of them. Or they not seeing what's going on. Because assassination
I don't think all the catch what Burkina Faso is actually what is being done in Burkina Faso. Because that young boy, Torre, he not focused on no president and no personal thing. His fight is not against the United States of America. What it is that young boy is actually doing, he is mobilizing his people to help themselves. And that is the end of the day. So he not in no fight with no nation. The people who trying to assassinate him is his own people who trying to assassinate him, you know.
Funded by who, Mr. Felix? Funded by who? Is the West?
I hear you.
Is the West funded? I say funded by who? Is the West? You think the West want to see what's going on? The man credit debt and never borrow no money from them. You think the World Bank, the IMF is pleased with that? You think the world is pleased with that? The man
you're under the impression. Wait, trying to say you're under the impression that the West don't want to see Burkina Faso do well. It wasn't the West controlling, it was France. It wasn't America controlling, it was France.
When I say the West, I mean not the G7, right? The G7,
right?
Right, but America play a lot of role in some of these African countries and England. Just a couple of years ago, the Queen's son was held in one of them small African countries with guns and ammunition. That's about 10, 15 years ago. An oil-rich African country with nobody know about.
True. Cross boss again. If I invite you to my wedding and you overdrink and vomit down the place, I'm not responsible for that, you know.
Yes, Mr. Felix, I'm not doubting that some of the African leaders, but these young African leaders now who's seeing a different alternative are waking up. We know what the African leaders give. Don't get misguided with my contribution, you know.
No,
right? Right. I know what is taking place. I know what Africans, all they wanted is to just jump on a plane, go France, a luxury hotel, a luxury plane. But some of these young African leaders, right, are standing up, they're changing the status quo.
True. And we support
that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right.
And we support that. But ladies and gentlemen, as we say, as much as America, we can't say that America is the most gospel. America never advertised to be a gospel nation. But at the same time, nobody can bring to me to tell me that America is a demon nation. You can't tell me that. You know why I would never market that? I sit back and listen to people promoting different people. All right, let me sit down and talk. See, not be touching thing. Let me touch basic common sense thing. I am labeled as an African. Ask anybody from any other ethnicity. When they see me, they will tell you that I am an African. The history of my legacy is that I was ripped from my land and shipped away. My ancestors was not given an opportunity to evolve in Africa. Now, I could go as far back as starting as, how the hell white people know where Africans was? But we can leave that for our next conversation. But here are the heights. As an African in Trinidad and Tobago, now, my family, my ancestors come from Africa and they work their way down. I can tell you about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have some Grenadians, some in Barbados. We have some family along the corridor. And then we end up in Trinidad and Tobago. Hold on. Hold on 1 second there, Freeport. Let me make this point here.
Okay.
And I want to tell brothers and sisters, we have some in different Caribbean countries coming down the road. In Trinidad and Tobago, it have Africans. And I have never, listen to what I'm telling you, I have never seen or heard of an African from any one of the African, in the African continent, organize a boatload and send to any one of the Caribbean countries and invite African people to come home. I have never seen that. I have never seen the African nation. The other day when we see Africans come to Trinidad, we saw they bring up 4 yam and they tell we could do business with them. They brought up 4 different brand of yam and told us we could organize and do business airport to airport. So when it comes to African and the African continent and the African support, we now start to work. We are working. Go ahead, Freeport.
Good afternoon, Mr. Felix.
Good afternoon.
Your program hot this afternoon, but it have a lot of stupid people calling this program and texting. Everything is America, America, but when they want to go on holiday, they want US dollars. They want US dollars. What Venezuela give to Trinidad? What?
Nothing.
Except a lot of the citizens they send here.
Yeah.
They give us nothing from what I know. I'm not so bright like some of them, but I could understand. All he had was to give Maduro $1 million US.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's per month or per year, but we are a little country like we have nothing to what Maduro have.
Mm-hmm.
And when America tried to protect us, everybody have a problem.
Yeah.
But the same people have a problem with America, running to America to say, get yourself saved. So, you know, a lot of people, I don't know why a lot of people always up against America. And America is the only person trying to defend we.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you notice, from the time Guyana find oil, Maduro on Guyana case,
yes,
and now here America case.
And now you're on Trinidad case. They're on Trinidad case
and
too.
Trinidad case, yeah, Trinidad case, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you could recollect something. While Rowley was in power, he never had a problem with Trinidad.
Yeah.
As UNC gets into power, they send in all kind of threat. And when the Prime Minister stand up for them, a lot of people have a problem with that.
Thank you.
So, you know, because Venezuela kind of mighty, you sit down in your backyard and stay quiet.
Boy, I tell
No, it's not that.
America is going to bubble out there for a little. America could just stay out there for 6 months and lead them. Because at the end of the day, Maduro had to find food to feed 4,500,000 soldiers. If you understand what I'm telling you, you can't feed 100 people in your population. But yeah, anyhow, you know that.
I would like to see our Prime Minister send back every Venezuelan from Maduro. They handle that too.
Don't say every, because that Venezuelan here who don't want to part, you know. I know that. Once Maduro there, they may want to part. I just keep out of the business, but that people wanted to come and talk. But I just keep out of the business.
Yeah, well, you better really don't let them talk because they might get more mad with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, keep it low.
Now my government go
But
do the thing. When it comes to that immigrant thing and them and the thing, my government have a responsibility, not me.
Yeah, well, she already said that she had no intention of sending back anybody.
Thank you.
So, that would be good.
Thank you.
But I want everybody who call in this program and text in on this chat, leave America out of your mouth, please. Because all you cannot live without America.
Yeah, holiday time, shopping time. We like too much at Jordan.
Everything in America. Let them go. Let us send and get Venezuelan dollars and buy things from Venezuela.
Partners, I was down in Venezuela when the money blowing at the side of the road. When I go down Venezuela and see people walking past money, I asking the translator. I say, but like everybody's big shot down here. He say, why that money has no value? Why matter?
Yes, but
money has no value.
Yeah. When talking, my wife has some cousin living in Venezuela, and some of them left and they come to Trinidad and the hustling in Trinidad.
It's sad. It's
So,
sad. It's sad the decision that the government take though. They're more focused on military than their own people. That's sad. Venezuela have too much potential for that.
But this is what, instead of you trying to suffer your people, open up the country. Even Rowley do the same thing, Instead of he open up our country that the poor people could survive, he shut down everything. And still people, up to now, still people talking about how much 1,000 people the UNC fire. But something caused that.
I asked them, well, how much? Tell me how much. Because not one of them had the right figure. How much are people actually get laid off due to this corruption scandal?
But none of them can tell me. None of them can tell me under Rowley how much of them lost their job.
Partners, industries was closed down under these people,
Yes, because if you have the main U.S. income, and you could shut down that, what you wouldn't do again?
Thank you. Thank you. What you wouldn't do again?
So, well, this is what, and the 13 PNM that talking now, all they talking is war, war, war. Nothing to afflict this country. And now, as I have always said, it's only now, after the 20th, they know all what they're supposed to do for the poor people.
Yeah.
How much grant and how much this and how much that you could get from social welfare. Why you didn't do that before? You're out of power now. You can't get back power, so some of them may never see power again.
Now go on, you call back rest now. People, the phone line hot. The phone line hot.
Yeah, take care. Take care.
And thanks for your contribution, big brother. Bless good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, bless good afternoon again, Mr. Felix. Mr. Felix, I want the caller to understand. We're not saying America is a saint, but which political leader in the world right now who's a superpower is a saint?
For real.
You think Putin is a saint? You think England is a saint? You think China is a saint?
Partners, Israel in the Bible, and Israel pelting
bomb
at people, and them pelting bomb at people.
And you're correct. The caller thinking is the West invading, but Burkina Faso is France.
I was telling him it's France, them
and they just talk about looking at geopolitics, but Uganda strike gold, $12 trillion in gold they're estimated.
Yeah.
And yet Uganda is the poorest country in one of the poorest in the continent. You see, we cannot, you see, we want to take a side and we want to say America bad, but what did America do for us to class them as bad? Did they come and take the country? Did they come and do something to our country? You see, we have to look for the countries that help us in the long run. Right? If let me say no, none of this happened and the drug and gas went through. You know what Maduro wanted? Maduro wanted the control room in his country so he could shut off the gas and oil anytime.
Yes.
They didn't know that, you know. They didn't know that he wanted the control room supposed by him, you know. So he could have shut it off anytime if he don't like the contract or he don't like who dealing who what, you know. You see, we have to understand one thing, Mr. Felix. If Maduro was a good leader, why over 8 million and more, 12 million people leave that country and flee in terrains that some of them die?
Yes.
You don't leave a country and take your children and you die in boats and you die while running across border and die while and get sickness and 20,000 are there locked up in a container going. People won't do that if you was living right.
Yes, man.
And we're not saying America is a guardian angel, but look, who world leader right now is a superpower, is a guardian angel.
That don't work now. The good guy always end up last, you know.
All right, Mr. Felix, no problem listening.
Thank you much.
Yeah.
The nice guy always end up last. Bless good day, caller.
Yes, Mr. Felix. In your contribution, as showing a point, they said the 30 members of parliament, they still have a responsibility to serve the community, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, you know the problem we had in Carnage here, in the past 9 years, and it's still continuing, right? So I know a lot of PNM, I understand this, sycophants will be listening to your program, right?
Yeah.
So I want them to send a what do you call it, to Mr. Hans Devines, you understand? Yeah, for the past three weeks now, we are facing a serious water problem, a low pressure system, right? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. The low pressure and the PNM, yes, we could complain and we could think and go send it, but now the water is reaching our tanks, right? Mr. Heinz Beans, right? If you are listening, whoever are listening with the PNM might on this program, you understand? Your campaign on, right?
Yeah.
Leading up to the general election, a big pothole on Abbey Pojard Street, you understand? Now it becomes a sinkhole, right? You camping over that. Your fancy truck or you're driving over, you camping over, you drive over that. And today, it is getting worse and more worse. Every wasara is a word. It's wasara now, right? If you all are listening, they still have a commitment to the constituency.
Yes. Let me ask you a question, big brother. Let me ask you a question. Did the Hans do any budget consultation or anything wrong by you yet?
Hans, I had also sent, he had put up a post and I comment under the post to come in his office every Thursday and see him. You understand?
Yeah, but
when you done, you campaign. But listen to me, you campaign for the election. Know the ills and the thing. When we want people to come, man, get off your high horse and come back to the community, right? And work with central government to get things done. Because all they still is you're only getting paid to do a service with the community, you know. Only wasn't doing it in office for 10 years, right? 9 years and more. Right now, all in opposition. Well, all they say, no, get off all your horse. Understand?
Them really do them people
I went to a UNC budget consultation in Diego Martin, and the community center in Diego Martin and True Value. Resident went and to via the views so the ministers and they will take it back to the government.
Oh, hold on. Wait telling me the UNC came to you all. They came in all your constituency.
Yeah, they have a positive consultation in Diego Martin opposite True Value.
Well, boy, I know that they get worried there, because I know your community and I know that community needs support. So I know that they get worried.
It needs support. Yeah, it needs support. But I tell you, right now, people will go back up the river and bathe and all kind of thing. If the rainfall yesterday, so they will pull a little buckets and think to flush it. We have toilets to flush. People have to bathe to go to work. I mean, you go out and spend money out of the pocket and go to the coins laundries and never spend. But we are calling on the representative for Diego Martin West, Mr. Heinz Devines. We have a serious problem, right? I tried all what I could do. I had talks. Somebody put me on to the minister, but no communication yet. You understand?
Yeah.
We need the water. The water coming just to the lower level, right? We always still have a commitment to the people who vote for all you. And it's the people who cry now, the people who vote for all you.
The people who vote for them ain't crying out. Them
Look
quiet.
at
Thank you much, big brother.
They ain't crying out.
Thank you
Look
much.
at listening.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, not to divert the conversation because we're heading back, because I must tell all you. We must, because I understand it. Kunji, talk to me. Let's get there again, man. Talk to me.
Mr. Felix,
Oi.
and listeners of
Real
citizens
talk.
of this country.
Yes, man.
Real talk. Why, if I have a choice amongst the Americans and the Venezuelans, everything the Americans say and speak, I could understand. Everything they say and speak, I could understand.
Yes.
Everything the Venezuelans speak, I cannot understand. What's wrong with you, Trinidadians? What's wrong with you? What we benefited from the Americans for the past 50 years, we haven't even benefited 1% of that from the Venezuelans.
History shows them never spend no money, them never made no investment here. History shows that.
For the past 15 years, under the PLM, Rowley administration had was a give an island of 1.3 million people. Had was a give, lend, but we didn't lend them, they give them.
Give them it.
Over 50 million US dollars in foodstuffs, toilet paper and things.
Yeah.
Why would 8 million people flee from Venezuela? Why? Why would 8 million citizens flee from their country under Maduro leadership?
Run out and lead their
And Rowley and Stuart Young tell many of them, all welcome in Trinidad over here.
Yeah, come now, man.
All come.
Yeah,
We'll give you free health care. Why they would leave Venezuela?
Run out and leave a walk.
You know why?
Leave a house. Go ahead, caller. Talk to me.
You know why would you leave your country? Because over 50-something states all over the world saying Venezuela president is no good.
Yes. Yes. True.
Why we will accept people in this country? No ID card, no passport, no residence. Yeah. Just come over here and you go find place to live. And you'll get free health care.
Yeah.
And we accept that. How much, for how long we borders open under Rowley administration? All the ships and them locked down.
Everything.
It was locked down for over 3 months. Yeah. People can come and go as they please. And all telling me to vex with the Americans. Yeah. The Americans bring a boat to see about 6 people in Trinidad here. Right. You see what happened to the line? But Trinidadians going to the Americans for help.
Talk now. Talk now. Talk
You see any Venezuelan come over here to assist any Trinidadians? No. Did we get any money from Venezuela for COVID?
No.
A country have over 40 million people.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you have to take the statistic, 8 million people leaving Venezuela, that is 7 times Trinidadian.
Yeah.
That is 7 times Trinidad.
Yeah. Them people drag. They ain't turning back. They want to part. Madness.
They don't want to part of their own country.
Yeah. Their own place.
And make Trinidad over here overpopulated. Make Trinidad here overpopulated. Yeah. Because of that, we have high food prices, inflation going up.
Yeah.
They're buying everything and selling. They're buying everything and selling back for the family in Venezuela.
Yeah.
The demand for food stuff is so high that they raise price too.
Yeah.
In this country.
True.
Every action, there is a reaction.
Yes.
In every action, there is a reaction. And our reaction it did not work on our behalf. No. It worked against us by having the Venezuelan over here. I can remember when we used to pay $1 for a pound of potato. I can remember when we used to pay 50 cents for the bag of salt. and 150 for the barrel and the peas because they bring Dominican and Venezuelan and Dominican over here. Tell them all to come and live. Unconstitutional with the PLM. Today we country riddled with violent crime and political hypocrisy by the PLM. Mr. Felix, take that out. I just want to tell your listeners and them again. I seen a number, an account number on your screen. Although let me be honest and let me be fair and let me be transparent. That is the Help Me program. It's not if you go to the bank and you put $10 and $5 and $25. The person who have more, let me try and make the program go by assisting the program, helping the program. All that we have to do that. Felix can't take his money alone and go and do that. The account number is for patriotic supporters of the program to support the program. One day, that program will help the people in the public. Thank you.
Thank you much for that. Thank you much, Kunji. Thank you much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, and Kunji touched on it, so let me just mention it one time to the brothers and sisters outside of Trinidad and Tobago. And the Lord laid upon your heart to say, well, let us say you could PayPal me at Trinidad Halls. Again, and there's my Scotial Bank account number. Again, I penal Scotial Bank 463754. 463-754-021-575. Brothers and sisters, again, a little does a lot. We in this together. Bless good afternoon, brother.
Yes, Felix. This one of your callers, your callers are them and make me. We debating, but you know what Venezuela bring to Trinidad and America. But Trinidad and Venezuela doing trade since 1841. Since 1841, Trinidad and Venezuela doing trade.
Cross boss, we had trade. America and Trinidad and Tobago been doing trade too. But when we're talking about actually sending support without nothing in exchange, Venezuela don't have that. America is in charge of that.
What's support? Do you remember Texaco? Do you remember Texaco?
Hold on. Let me give you a piece of information because what I just do my responsibility is to bring knowledge to each other. Partner, you ever hear about the organization Living Waters?
I mean, I hear
Thank you very
Living
much. So
Waters.
if you have any respect for what Living Waters do in this country, you're going to have respect for the United States of America. Living Waters do more. Living Waters do more. Hold on.
You see the current, but not America alone. Let's do trade. Support our nations.
Cross boss.
Until
cross boss.
America.
Listen. Until we the buildings and them. You see, this is why that's like. America sends support and there's a structure, there's a place. There's a place that you can go. So you tell me.
Felix, I don't want to do that. I just joined to the fact that you always say America and Venezuela don't do trade. I believe with this issue here, America doing Venezuela doing trade with Venezuela doing trade with America before America. Venezuela doing trade with Trinidad before America. I just going with what the history is saying. I not denouncing the fact what America is doing, but we only want to come and play like whether other countries doesn't matter. You understand? Texaco was here an exploiter.
Listen. Venezuela, cross boss. Venezuela is my business partner. What you calling there? I'm a business partner. While America is my business partner, just like how India is my business partner. While India is my business partner, when something go wrong, they send support without nothing in exchange. India did it. America does do it. Look, Japan just did it the other day.
But Mr. Felix, that is diplomatic relationship.
Thank you. But again, diplomatic, it came from one country. It came from one country to the next country, and nothing was asked in exchange. That is support.
What you want to find out now? What is come to Trinidad from Venezuela? When Dulce and then come to Trinidad with the private jet, you don't know what diplomatic relationship they had, whether it was private or government.
Cross Listen,
diplomatic trade.
listen, look how easy we call the United States of America and organizations that connected to the United States of America. And I could tell you living waters with the drop of a dime. So am my responsibility in things about the public?
I just when people bring in things, they bring like Venezuela was isolated. Venezuela and Trinidad never had no business or relationship, right? So that's my point. I don't want to know living waters
No. That is not my problem. Cross, hold on. Oh, is that what you think we saying? No. If it's that way, gotta. Come on. If it's that way, gotta. Well, then on behalf of myself and everybody else.
You all ball. The 1 point before I go, people that's coming up and talking, Venezuela GDP for 2024 was 5.3.
No.
The highest since 2012 to 2021.
Listen. That if you're saying that, well, then you could continue supporting the PNM because that's the same thing. Stuart Young look Rowley put out a statement yesterday boasting about the GDP.
Mr. Felix.
Rowley no
Mr. Felix. 1 minute. That didn't come from the Venezuelan government. That comes from Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a Venezuelan organization.
Wikipedia is reliable to you?
What?
That is how you does the research? You serious?
That
is how you does the research with
Wikipedia?
Wikipedia?
How you do your research?
Who the hell I see in here?
We just gather your information. You just gather your information just now with the submarines, the Narco-submarine. And then somebody bring it to you?
So after Wikipedia,
how you know that is truth?
After Wikipedia, because look at now running it for you.
You don't have to rely on a source.
What I now run for you is factual evidence coming from.
You have to rely on a source.
Crossboss.
So you don't rely on the United Nations and when they bring out the estimate and things like that.
You don't just hear one side of it.
I don't see anything. So about hang on.
All right. What the hell? Hold on. So we just taken information that Venezuela GDP right up to the top. And these Venezuelans in Trinidad still scrambling to send food home for their family and money. So then this is what I'm saying. Is either we think each other stupid or some kind of thing. Venezuela had a proper GDP last year. The thing gone up. The money reading good and everything. But yet still we have Venezuelan in Trinidad still cleaning people's floor to send back money home. So then what we trying to say now? That the Venezuelan back home exploiting their own people in Trinidad and Tobago then? Hold on. Bless, good day, caller.
Good day, brother Felix. Good day,
Good day, talk to me.
I wonder if you see my profile picture before I talk. You saw it?
That's why I open it, man.
Right. You know where I go in. I strong in arms with Nicolas Maduro. I am against impoverishing people just to move our government.
True.
That is what the United States is doing to Venezuela, right?
So, all right.
Because they want to carry them.
All right, let me ask you a
question. Maduro is like Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. He is taking the wealth of the country to see what his people. America with the narratives like what they do to Saddam, they do to Afghanistan.
I wouldn't allow you to do Abraham Traore names that. You know why? Because people not scrambling out of his country asking for help. That is going on down in Venezuela. So you can't get away with that with Abraham. You can't do the boy that man. Don't do him.
What he doing?
People scrambling out of Venezuela.
Right. No, listen. I ain't finished yet. I say he is just like Ibrahim Traore. He's standing up for his people.
No, you can't tell me that. No, come up with a different. Abraham Traore is running his nation and his people is helping him. Listen, Abraham Traore had the regular poor people and the big shot people out on the road supporting, building roads and things. The Venezuelan government have people scrambling out of their own nation. So that he could never be like Abraham Traore. No, he's not like that.
Stop watching CNN, Fox, and all them bacchanal news. What Trump and all this be saying? That they are fake news and they are rubbish news.
Caller, now mind me, when you hear me talking about Venezuela, I ain't talking about where I hear on the news. I'm talking about my experience with me being in Venezuela. So go ahead. And mind me, my experience
Oh,
with
you
me
used to
being
be in Venezuela?
hold on. My experience with me being in Venezuela in the oil and gas sector too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. No, but you used to live in Venezuela or something?
I used to work in Venezuela, sir. Go ahead.
¿En qué parte de Venezuela trabajabas tú? ¿Ah?
Excuse me?
Si vivías en Venezuela, ¿en qué parte de Venezuela vivías tú? Te estoy haciendo una pregunta.
Excuse me. I assume you know where Gorilla Port is. I assume you know where Gorilla Port is, right? Seeing that we are applying all the Spanish here. Because nobody, hold on. Nobody didn't send me down Venezuela to learn Spanish, you know. I went to Venezuela to work. I didn't work among your Venezuelan colleagues. I work in the oil and gas industry. So that is why.
You say you went to Venezuela. Yeah, but we have to understand something. When America wants to get rid of a government, what they do in lots of countries, they just jamified it. They say,
totally.
And they say, well, Libya Gaddafi was a good man.
I totally agree with that. We have information in the past that took place. But does that eliminate the fact that a Coast Guard lost his life based on the same narco-trafficking activities? Are we ignoring that is going on? If that is what we're doing today, well, then I understand where you're coming from. But that is not what I endorse.
I am just telling you as it is. In Venezuela, they have millions of people support Maduro, just as they have the opposition. America, like what they like to do always. I have nothing. When I talk, I don't hate America, and I don't have nothing against America. I just don't like the system of what the bully countries in order to get their way. Right? Even if we had good relationships and have good relationship with Venezuela, fine and all, well, I support that. You understand? But not because you want to install a hegemony in other countries, you have to bully and say that one is civil my interest, so you want to go and wipe them up.
I want to talk about the drug trafficking.
Like, why does it not go in Gaza?
I notice you mentioned the drug trafficking, though.
From fighting Gaza. Huh?
I notice you leave out the
but
drug
if you
trafficking.
Say, no, the thing about it, Venezuela have no drugs. Venezuela is not a drug, is another country. People who just make the coke and thing. This have the leaf and all these different things. Coke, the drug capital of the world is Colombia. What? You have to blame Venezuela. I said that lies. You understand? Venezuela have nothing to do with no drugs and no narco government. Lots of foolish people here be talking about. They don't know what they're talking about.
So
you understand? They don't know what they're talking about. I'm a Venezuelan living 12 years.
So then were you testifying basically? Is the last week the Venezuelan government apprehended some fellas coming from Venezuela with drugs. What you saying is that Venezuela don't deal with them things that way. So then where them fellas end up? How they end up there?
No. Mr. Felix, all over the world has drugs. Even China, where the people still go over to those countries with drugs and they lose their chance. And if drugs, they have drugs all over.
So then
the biggest consumer drugs in the world is in America.
So
why don't
we get back to the excuse America make. America said, based on the information, and I just run the audio, $400 million in one shipment. Sometime 60 and 70 shipment landing at the same time, and all is heading to the United States of America. Now, mind me, this is not, hold on. This is not food products. Now, me living in the United States of America again, and on top of that, embarrass my family because I was on the street selling drugs. I know what drugs do to people.
Yes, sir.
So I could understand why our government will try to put on the foot when it comes to drugs. Now, as much as we might, or we would have an argument to say that America could zombie Venezuela for the oil and the gas, it do not exempt the fact.
Exactly, that's what it means.
Listen,
that is what they're doing. It's not about the narco.
Yeah, but it do not exempt the fact of the level of drugs and narcotics that have been embezzled through Venezuela and Colombia and passed through Trinidad waters. That don't change that fact. It don't.
It happened.
It don't. And listen, the next dangerous thing. Right now, I honestly believe that I need the United States of America military as close to me as possible. Why? Because yesterday morning I woke up to a threat from Venezuela defense minister. What is your explanation for Venezuela defense minister explaining that Trinidad and Tobago connected to the CIA? What is your thing? And that give him authority to invade us. That's how they're speaking. That's what they're boasting.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, well, I heard you. Could you give me a little voice now?
Go ahead.
Right. Didn't hear that part where he said, I hear you saying that. He's the first person I hear saying that. That's the reason that he didn't say.
Let me see
right? But the thing about it, no, just now, I will listen off because I'm talking.
You guys.
Right? On the same phone, I'm listening to you. Right? So what I'm just trying to tell you, when God made the world, he didn't put no other country to work over the world. You understand? And that's not a narrative America's always pushed. That the same thing to do with Saddam Hussein, massive weapons and mass destruction. This fella, Kofi Annan, tell him it had no weapons and mass destruction in Iraq. What they do, they still want to invade the country. You understand? They still want to invade, and what they do, they make Kofi Annan step down.
It's a good thing me hang up. Kola, I know catch what going on with you. I know catch what going on with a lot of people. When you're done, do you finish?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll listen.
All right. Yeah. I know catch what going on there. So, brothers and sisters, my responsibility is to bring the conversation back down to me as the host. Let me explain something to all you. I was given the opportunity to go to the United States of America, right? Well, let me hold the phone line for 1 second. While being in the United States of America, again, hold on. Now, let me get KFC. KFC, talk to me. Talk to me, brother.
Oh, Mr. Felix.
Boy.
Fire born in the United States of America. I don't like the United States of America. It's an allegation the United States of America pulling at Maduro and the drug cartel. It's more behind that. America, Venezuela, and oil and gas thing. Yes. You know America is a pirate. America is a bully. So no praise America. Fire born America. They're not going behind that. They're not going behind that man. My boy Venezuela, you know. We never did Chavez. We know drug cartel thing and that, you know. America is a bully for the whole world, you know that, Felix. To praise America, they have to fall.
No,
they don't like nobody. They don't like people for the assets.
No.
I don't praise America. I want to show America as a pirate, you know.
No, let it cross. Never cross. When you're done, KFC, let me explain something. When you're done, let me explain something.
I'll still something.
When you finish this. All you hear is, hold on. Let me pause the phone line for a second. Hold on. Let me explain something to you. My responsibility is at all time. We listen to the bacchanal and the history of the United States of America and all of this. I listen to America down in Africa, America in different countries. But let me explain something to all you. At the end of the day, we could sit down and we could point out all the negative things that the United States of America did to the world. But it is unjust and wrong to point out all the negative and not point out none of the positive. That is unjust. Now, here the next thing. A dangerous thing with it is, and now bring you the evidence in Trinidad and Tobago of how we lost a Coast Guard concerning this same submarine. Now listen to the conversation. The evidence are brought to you. Over 62 countries involved in this narco and breaking down of this year. Because it have to change. So over 62 countries, we explaining. Totally agree. Now as much as we saying Maduro and them defense and the intelligence is good, if it's that, full 100. But all you explain to me is that they rather invest in technology than feed their own people. I was in Venezuela, ladies and gentlemen, where you couldn't cook. You had to be a big shot to drink that. Get up and drink a cup of coffee in the morning. You had to have some sort of weight to do that. To go in the grocery and actually full of trolley. You're aware that you cannot do these things? So this picture that we're trying to paint like it's all good in the hood down in Venezuela. I don't know what part of Venezuela you went. But the Venezuela that the Venezuelans know, people don't run from good things. Now here the heights. At the end of the day, Maduro have a responsibility to his people. If Maduro say God put in there, no problem. Well, then he have to be there. Listen what we're not going to do. The conversation is over 62 countries already clarified. It's alleged Maduro is a narco trafficker. 62 countries. America is our country. Our country. Listen, hold on. Over 62. America is our country. The argument we're trying to pull that America does normally bully people. Are we saying that we're willing for drugs to continue coming into Trinidad and Tobago? We comfortable with our Coast Guard when they apprehend a vessel, they're dead, the family can't get closure. As a Trinbagonian citizen, are you saying you rather to leave your country exposed for Venezuela? That is what you're explaining to me? If that is the conversation here today, well, then we're on a different level. If that is what you're telling me today, because at the end of the day, I understand what's going on with Venezuela. Venezuela have a responsibility to Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago have a responsibility to Trinidad and Tobago. We now lost a Coast Guard due to their submarine and all the skillful activities that they practice in offshore. This is what we lost. We lost a young, law-abiding citizen. And were you telling us now, were you telling me today, Friday the 22nd of August, we lost a law-abiding young man. And we are going to repay him by arguing for our borders to stay open and arguing for the drug trade to stay alive? That is what we're saying here? If it's that, well, I am blown. Now, while we at it and we sit down, and we discuss it, we just tend to slip. We might slip out and we can talk negativity about America, which is no problem. But let me explain this to you, brothers and sisters. The United States of America, you could tell me where you want them same countries you're talking about. Hold the leaders and them responsible. Hold the African continent, hold the leaders responsible. Because exchange and a robbery, if it is like giving you this amount of money and you giving me this amount of minerals, if your leaders listen, or let them notice what Mr. Munilal had to explain to we. Why would the PNM cut a deal? Why would Stuart Young, with all the brilliance they're talking about, all the oil and gas they claim they know, but yet still, Mr. Munilal and the United National Congress had to pick up on an error where Stuart Young them sign off for an outside entity to collect the majority of the money in a deal. So I'm trying to understand what we feed in ourselves. And then I just live by this. Who pay the cost is the boss. America continue to put them money where the mouth is. America don't talk, they come in and help. They just come and help. If America have organizations globally helping, you don't tell me about groups we're helping, but it have no evidence about it. That wouldn't work here. All you know how we just deal here and 648 is facts. You hear what I can tell you about America? I can tell you that it have organizations that come from America. The amount of, let me tell you something. If Living Waters was not in this country the last 9-10 years, you know how many dead people it would have in this country? You know, if Living Waters was in this country, bless good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, bless good afternoon, Mr. Felix. Let me explain something to them, right? So I'll pull it up here. So they say they don't want America. So, all right, let me say America killing the back country that. Every year we will lose $6 million in foreign aid, right? And here was the support that they give her with the relation.
Yeah,
we will lose that. And let me get here for you now, Mr. Felix, just now, and I will get. And let me explain something for them now. All right, so here now, Mr. Felix.
Yeah, we listening.
If America leave for you, the largest trading partner that Trinidad have will be out the market. The investment that Trinidad invests in these countries with companies and energy and the private sector and for children. Bilateral agreements, right?
Yeah.
There's a thing called CBSI, Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, that will go on the road. Technical support. We're talking about technology because we're far behind technology. Public health will be out the door because we depend a lot on America and India.
Yeah.
Right? Youth civil society, that will be out the door. All funding will be gone from that. So all the youths and them who want to apply for the trade in America, football, running, baseball, wherever they just play, studying, that will be out the door. Cultural program, America invests a lot in the culture in Trinidad.
Thank you.
Right? And the last one is something called USAID.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a thing, there's the Permanent Advanced Subsistence Development Climate Adaptation. So they training people in Trinidad how to adapt to the climate, to plant the crops. So let it go ahead and let America turn the back on Trinidad and we go lose all that, and Venezuela go help with all that.
Yes, man.
All right, Mr. Felix, lock on listen.
Thank you much. Thank you much. Bless, good afternoon, caller. Bless, good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good day.
Good day. Talk to us, man.
You see that fella we call the show and want to play talk in Spanish and all them thing and make you feel like if you're lying and thing. People like he is part of the problem. Yeah, and what I tell you, people like he dangerous. And it have a lot of people like he in this country. Right? It's because of people like he, right? If Kamala end up in this situation where she had to side with America or Venezuela, she got to stay neutral. Because if she only say, yeah, she sided with America, right? Watch me, in the morning Maduro could say, hands up the country, hands up Trinidad. And a lot of them will just hold the country hostage. Because, let me tell you something, about 80% of the population have to be trained by the military to serve the country, right? All of them, so, right? As I say, you'll see them looking like Barbies. Them girls and them in the road there, they look like Barbies. And they train to hold a gun in the helicopter and snipe you out from the helicopter.
True.
You understand? And since you say you was in Venezuela, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Eh? And the plane coming and talking Spanish to test you like, you know, if you was the and thing. Eh? It have Venezuela living here. Grew up in Trinidad and living here. And they will tell you, he's wrong. He's part of the problem. I could tell you. Él es parte de la problema que tenemos en este país ahora. Y en Venezuela también. So it also have people who could do the same shit he doing there and tell you. In his own language and all, I'm a language too. I telling you he's part of the problem. If it's so great with Maduro, why he don't just be there? Why he want to tell you about Maduro while he here?
And this is why I said, why you move down there and they always used to tell people that?
Eh?
If you like Venezuela, so why you go down there and they tell people that?
Them is the ones that blinded, they're under blind loyalty. Like blind loyalty. Why he don't go back there and talk like that?
For real.
The ones who hear wouldn't tell you that, you know.
Thank you much. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, before I go this afternoon, because we are approaching 3 o'clock, before I go this afternoon, I must explain, I must tell you something, right? I must say, I was given the opportunity to live in the United States of America. My sisters, they are Americans. Today, my mother, she's an American citizen. And before my mother left Trinidad and Tobago, I must say, thank God we met my stepfather. This is where I give you the episode of living in Princeton, Cedar Village, Cottage Trace. But before my mother went to the United States of America, we were living in Princeton. And let me explain something to us. It was bad. Things wasn't right. All I know it, my mother would come from Point Fortin, and Point Fortin, the culture is to keep the people into 10 days. I didn't hesitate to tell all my mother was a 10 days champ. And his advice she get, girl, why ain't you trying to migrate out of here and see if you get better yourself? And that is what my mother did. She migrated. I even come back and told all of this story that before she left, she tell them PNM people in Point Fortin, I'm leaving all in this damn bear, I'll come back and meet all right here. And she did it 26 years after when she come back. The same people who was fighting down work, well, some of them retire now. The same people who was marking people off a list and fighting down people in Point Fortin. She went over there, went and do nursing, went and retired today. And it's the same people still marking people off a list. I say, girl, you know what? When you come home, you need to drive around the place and pass and check some of them. Because they were convinced that their problem is Indian people and they wasn't realizing what the party was doing them. So me, I want to utilize this opportunity to thank the American government for allowing me to come in all your country. Mind me, ladies and gentlemen, I was a misinformed fella, you know. Very, very violent fella. And I went in the people's place and practiced rogue activities and end up in jail. End up in the jail. But let me explain something to you. My mother getting the opportunity to go to the United States of America was the turning point in my life. And so many others could say it. I is the one in my, literally, I am the person in my family who went to America and played the fool. Everybody else on the right path. Literally. This is why, brothers and sisters, when you hear me sit down here and talk, and sometimes I just jump out and talk about parents who preparing the children to go foreign, and I talk to the children and ask the children, because we doesn't understand what we parents going through, we doesn't understand the sacrifices that is being made. You know what is the problem I end up with? When I was young, I didn't hear it from nobody. It had nobody who brought back the information to me. So I would be irresponsible to sit back and not enlighten, especially young people. Your mother in foreign, your father in foreign, your aunt in foreign, your grandparents in foreign, and they tell you they're preparing you to go foreign. That is whether America, any country, they're preparing you to come out and meet them. Understand the sacrifice that is being made. Understand what is being made. And understand the love that is being put in to the sacrifice. That is one. Number two, America, again, I just told all you, America does pay the cost to be the boss. People have to eat, they will send food. People have to drink, they will send water. They will highlight it and put it on the media, yes, but they will bring it with love and respect. I went by Living Waters, enough time to pick up things. And I tell people already, one time in a group of people talking about, hey, we need to fireburn America, and then we deal with this one, and deal with China, and no problem. No problem. But my responsibility is to always think about the less fortunate. The less fortunate cannot go in the grocery and shop as they want. So the less fortunate does end up after hustle. And this is where organizations like Living Waters come in to make sure that the less fortunate have something in the cupboard. And when I look at the package, for some strange reason, nearly all the items is the United States of America. And when you go by Living Waters, you don't go there with money. You go with a vehicle. And they Living Waters, suppose, let me tell you something. I think Living Waters could be the opposition the next election. UNC control the government because the amount of work Living Waters put in Rowley, especially in Rowley 10 years. Living Waters could have run for election. Living Waters did more for people in Trinidad and Tobago than the PNM government and all the representatives in office controlling the country. That is facts. You didn't have a person in this country could tell me a line. That is blatant facts. So you might feel a particular way about America, no problem with that. I have to remember what America did for my family. I have to remember what America did for me. I also have to remember what America did for my nation. I'm going to tell you something. America and Venezuela end up in war. I don't even think Trinidad is a small place. So it's not to say the Trinidad government will have to pick side. No, the two of them is two ranking nation. Them could pull out people by the millions. Listen, with a phone call, Maduro assembled 4,500,000 people cock and ready for war. Agriculture sector in the rubbish bin. He concerned about that. Economy in the rubbish bin. He didn't care about that. Poor people scrambling. He didn't care about that. War. Ladies and gentlemen, facts is, until somebody could bring some other information for me, when it comes to the Caribbean Sea, there have been narco-trafficking lawlessly in our waters. A company from America now sign a new deal with Trinidad and Tobago. No, Exxon, no, sign up. Where you feel? So all you feel, well, so that America and them, they're stupid. Exxon signed with Venezuela. They threatened, they wanted to go and take the people them thing. So you feel America and realize that's a little shrine they're dealing with? All right, they signed with Trinidad. Look, and look at, and the defense minister talking, he talking a set a ranking thing. A set a big boy thing. Like somebody against them. Nobody not against the Spanish people because it have law-abiding Spanish people in Trinidad and Tobago. It have Spanish people who've been living here before the whole thing collapsing. But this is where we're talking like the whole of Venezuela supporting Maduro. The majority of Venezuela is not supporting Maduro. They are not. Even the government, Maduro's first government that he came into office with, them people are all against Maduro. The defense minister, he and all against Maduro. He and all migrate and gone. So this level of conversation, like Trinidad and like Miss Kamala jump out and tell somebody, all you, Matic, load up all the Matic, you know, it's time for we to go down, we support in America. That is not what is being marketed in Trinidad and Tobago. But at the end of the day, if you miss the information that the defense minister, rankingly speaking, I will put it up for you this afternoon. But you wouldn't volunteer Trinidad and Tobago to get bullied from a nation that can't even feed its own people. That more that better that we stay PNM. Better that we stay PNM. A nation can't even feed its own people. The defense minister threatening we because we small, we micro. We not talking no ranking thing. We don't want no criminal thing. All we trying to do is get we refinery up and running, prepare we children and them to head back out to school and get the people working. That's what we about. My prime minister ain't divert from that yet. That's what we about. What I believe in holding on to the truth. And the truth actually is that there is a drug problem in the Caribbean. And if there's a drug problem in the Caribbean, the drug problem is being filtered through Colombia and Venezuela and all of that. This is normal conversation. So the fact that people speaking in the country and acting like they don't know about that, that is drastically shocking to me. And then the next thing is, seeing that has been the history of it. All right, let me just say Felix talking a pack of crap. So then how the Venezuelan authority have people from Trinidad and Tobago bringing drugs from Venezuela? That is now a conversation. How my Prime Minister, we, the people in the UNC, had to run back the video to remind all you that we would not be paying those type of bills. Ladies and gentlemen, let we stay focused and let we stay blessed. Let we understand that each and every one of us have a role and a responsibility. Today is Friday, 22nd of August. Again, it's your boy Irvin. The information is under the screen. If the Lord laid upon your heart, because again, this is real talk where we keep it real. If the Lord laid upon your heart, remember you could use PayPal. You could PayPal me at Trinidad Halls. And again, you could utilize our penal Scotial branch, Scotial Bank banking account. The number is 463-754-201-575. Brothers and sisters, family and friends to my UNC family, my coalition team. Remember, we agreed because Crossboss, I know you're supporting UNC heavy too. And KFC, well, I know you're supporting UNC heavy too. Remember, while coming up and while going through the election, we agreed that all the conversation we mightn't agree to, but at the end of the day, we will allow our voices to be heard. So KFC, thank you still for the calling. Crossboss, thank you still for the calling. Brothers and sisters, thank each and every one of you all for calling in and clarifying. Again, I like how we do it. We do it nice, we do it debating, and on top of that, everybody still a respect for everybody. So all you watch me, let me utilize the page. I tell you, we heading for 100,000 supporters, 100,000 subscribers. We want to know. We're looking for that. Again, I must thank you all because we officially passed the 155,000 views on our YouTube page. Remember, we've been bubbling here for about a month and something now. So, brothers and sisters, we continue to ask you if it is you. If it doesn't like. If it is you have not subscribed, please subscribe to our page. Please share it in your groups, share it to your family, share it to your friend. Because at the end of the day, we're building a nation together. And while we're building a nation together, it's with information, not misinformation. So this is why we're talking. This is why we're debating. Again, Cross, don't get no harass. KFC, don't get no harass. And the brothers and sisters who supporting, the only thing I'm not supporting KFC, I have to pull it back with that. For America to fall. No, America did too much for us, and on top of that, my mother and all of them still living there. So wishing for America to fall is wishing for me to fall. Is wishing for we family to fall. And this is not what we want. Say, well, send troops to Colombia. All of that. And oil and gas up there. Down in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. So I would think that the smartest thing to do while you're dealing with that problem, make sure and guard your assets. So I would want to expect, while we debate where the ships and where all these things are supposed to be going, the defense minister in Guyana have a slick mouth. Him in Guyana in Venezuela have a slick mouth. So he threatened Guyana and threatened Trinidad and Tobago. He been doing it. He do it. So I will get the information and put it on the page. Please, I'll put it on the Facebook page and try to share it over here at the same time. But let me mind me business. Let me mind me business. America ain't no saint. But we don't act like America was bad to us. America ain't no saint. But I ain't supporting no conversation that America's supposed to fall. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, my 648 family, my UNC family, only remember, when the morning break, despite what? With all the talk, when the morning break, remember Andy Williams, remember the Douglas politics, don't play. Remember breaking down, ladies and gentlemen. You know we are three real talk out and about. We are real talk corner. We are real talk with Ali, and we are real talk with Felix. Brothers and sisters, remember TC and Heavy, remember Stark Entertainment. Remember we brother Ravi Figaro, Jason De Silva. We have a big crew, you know. We have a big crew. I say I have to start to reach out to them to get some interviews. Let me interview and meet and link up and so forth. Because at the end of the day, righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach. Brothers and sisters, we continue to stand with our Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Kamala Posey-Advisessa. Since we say thank you very much for your support. Oh God, we boy in point 40, Mr. Raymond Ernesto Kiza. All you know, we standing with Mr. Raymond Ernesto Kiza and the point 14 page, point 14 PNM page. All please don't make us be on all please. All don't have no authority to even be having conversation when it comes to Mr. Ernesto Kiza. I think all fast and all out of place. It is clear to see that Clive Paul have no respect for African people because he living in an African tongue, a tongue that he tried to say is a PNM African tongue. But yet still everything falls for him and his friends. and his colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I thank each and every one of you all for viewing, for listening. And again, please remember, we on tomorrow, please, Lord. You know, we must give you something tomorrow, please, Lord, because we in this together. So, brothers and sisters, family and friends, I thank you all for tuning in, for viewing, for listening. To we brothers and sisters in New York, all big up all yourself, Toronto, big up yourself, British Virgin Island, Canada, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even Venezuela, all blessed good afternoon. Brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago, my UNC Coalition family, Tobago, big up yourself, big up yourself. Brothers and sisters, it's our responsibility to hold on to the facts and hold on to the truth. So until we meet again, it's your boy Irvin, and it's nothing but peace, it's nothing but love and blessings. Remember, we're building a nation together. So again, love you all. I am out.
Through the pain and the sorrow, leaving darkness behind. For the youths and the future, let the healing begin. The rhythm of the island, let love lasting. For come from the dusk till dawn, as we rise up every morn, we fly through the skies like plane.